Welcome, everyone. We are back for another Super Millions. It is a special one. Big names, big prizes, same old, but a new guest this week, a special guest, world-class player. He's won a lot of stuff. I can't spend all the time rattling it off. Millions and millions of dollars. Has his own coaching platform and program, and I'm going to welcome in today Jonathan Little. Jonathan,
hello.
How are you?
I'm excellent. I'm happy to be here to watch the players battle today.
It is a battle. This is every week Super Millions, 10K buy-in. For those that are just tuning in, it's a Sunday tournament, play down to the final table, and then on Tuesday we get to do the special final table. Of course, big prizes, and some of the biggest names in the game just find their way here every single week. I don't know how much experience you have personally playing Super Millions, obviously US-based. I think you do get out and play some online poker now and again, but I'm sure some of these guys you know, and we'll make a friendly dinner wager if you're up for it on a draft. Big chip leader today, though. Kind of matters who gets that first pick. He's got an absolutely overwhelming chip lead. But Jonathan, let's take a look. Let's dive right into the final table, and we'll start calling the action here today on the Super Millions. I'm excited to have you. Thank you for being here.
Let's get to it.
Let's do it. All right, guys, let's take a look here at the final table. There is a special chip lead today. I don't think in all, let's say 25, 26 shows, I don't think I've seen someone with this big of a lead to start. Easy game at 6.8 million, John. And before I'll let you call, look at this. He's not had a lot of Super Million success. He's had success in GGPoker, 2.6 million. First, let's just choose red or black for this snake draft. Let's get that out of the way. Then we'll talk strategy. I'll let you choose.
I'll take red, but I'll make you a deal. I'll take E's game, and you can have the next 3 picks.
Wow. It's a lot of firsts here. This is interesting. All right, you know what? I'll be your Huckleberry. I'll do it. It feels like a bad deal, but I'm gonna do it.
All right, no red or black. Fine, here you go. I have E's. You get the next 3. This is good for you because we have 2 good players all in. One of them's gonna get some checks.
Yeah, and I get to see the run out, and also Ben Rowley, who I'm biased for. I love Ben and know him for a long time. Let's see if he can hold. And oh my God, no way. No, it's clean. Okay, huge flip for Ben, and that makes my life easy. So I will take Ben, Rodrigo, and man, I mean, I guess I got to go Zombie Chow. I mean, 2.8. I'm not familiar with the player, but that's a nice stack. So I'll take those 3 players, and let's finish out our draft, and then we can start talking some strategy here. Give me.
So what, do I get 2 or do I get 1, or how does this work?
Yeah, I guess you get 2. You get 2. That's fair.
All right, I will take the next chip leading people, Barrick and Future of Me.
Amazing. Well, that's good news, because then Bonomo knows a thing or two about poker. I'm going to go ahead and oh, Ben with the cam. He's got the sweat cam on. That was a big one. He couldn't believe it. He won it. He put on the live cam, and we are. I'll go with Bonomo. Do you get 1 or do I get 1? Oh, now we're 4 and 4, right? So we don't get the last one. We just get. This is actually. Oh no. How, man, that was my guy right here. He snuck it in case he missed the turn. There's the river ace, but the wheel came in. Zombie Chow I would have been right back in it. Now that hurt. That really hurt. Nice.
Slow down. There are actually 2 people left. I have 3 and you have 4 right now.
You get to pick one.
I either get 1 or Wool. I guess I'll get Wool. Wool has a lot more chips.
Okay. And then the
no one has 1.
Juan, the audience gets 1. So John, we're gonna do a $50 ticket giveaway for the audience, guaranteed, but it will be a $100 ticket if either Juan wins. We're gonna give also the chip leader easy game, and then we'll throw in. I'll let you choose the third. They're gonna get 3 guys. There could be a double bonus.
We'll do Bonomo, because everybody loves Bonomo.
All right, Bonomo. Yeah, he's a world-class player, household name. There it is, queens to 8s. Juan Pardo Dominguez is in trouble to be eliminated right now. He is in need of an 8 on the river, and 8 only, or else we'll be down to 8-handed. And listen, sometimes you're not ready to go home, John. You're just sometimes not ready to leave. The audience has got him. Everyone's running hot, running cold. The emojis are out. I mean, this is quite a start, man. What a start. We've seen some action. We've seen a flip. We've seen a 2-outer on the river. And we've got 363,000 to first today. So quite a hefty prize. Well, let's dive into some strategy while we have you here, John, and one of the world-class players of the game. Tell me how big an advantage it is for easy game with this type of chip lead at a final table. How massive is that?
Well, it's gigantic, especially when you have, I mean, I don't know how many chips are in play, but he has like half of them or more, right? So he's in very good shape. That said, I have had half the chips one time, 10-handed, and I've taken 7th place. So in that tournament where that happened, I doubled up everyone. And sometimes you just lose every all in. Like right here, showed up, got in with queens against eights, he lost, right off the bat. That can happen over and over and over again. And
there are,
what happens.
No guarantees. That's why we play. That's why it's so fun. I want to welcome everyone for joining. Thank you for tuning in. Please let us know where you're watching from. I know if you're not familiar with Jonathan Lowe, just, you could search him. He comes up on pretty much every single platform. Where are you most active these days on social media and content-wise? I think you're kind of everywhere.
I make a lot of YouTube videos, youtube.com/poker coaching, and I'm on Twitter at Jonathan Little. Those are the main places, on Instagram as well, but Twitter and YouTube, those are your best bets. Also have a poker training site, pokercoaching.com. We put out a lot of content. We actually have a gigantic course coming out very, very soon, and a lot of it covers final table situations, kind of like this. So I'm excited to take a look at these spots and see how the best players in the world are playing in these scenarios.
Very nice. And what would you say is for this chip leader, looking at his seat, the dynamic he's got, the second biggest stack, 2 to his right, 3 to his right. I'm sorry. He's got a very good seat. He has all the chips. What would you expect from him? Just to be super aggressive, open a lot, put pressure on?
Yeah, I would expect a lot of open raises for small amounts to some extent. I think he can apply a lot of pressure with just min raises, and then he doesn't have to call off against all ends too wide. All the players have to be kind of cautious because right here, Bonomo and Dominguez are both pretty shallow. Like right here with the 9s, I wouldn't be surprised if he just bets turn and jams river as a bluff to some extent. That's something you may not necessarily want to do normally, but here, if your opponent does have a king or a queen, they're just going to let it go. Maybe even, an ace would have probably shoved pre-flop a lot of the time. But it's an interesting spot. He decides to just give it up, though, which, you certainly can't fault him for just giving up. It's certainly fine just to be a little bit cautious and try to push small pre-flop edges over and over and over again, because everybody has to be a little bit too tight.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very interesting here. We see the trips come in. Obviously, the hearts are there. A 10 is a straight, but Juan's got to feel decent about his hand, as there was no bet on the turn, right? With all the draws and the stuff there, you just got to believe easy game is going to be betting. So he is going to value bet here, sort of blocker value bet. What do you think about the sizing? These are always frustrating when you get those small bets. It's like it doesn't feel good when you have to fold for that amount, but I love it. I love seeing the players utilize the over bet and the super small bet. I think it's fun to watch. What are your thoughts on the min bet there?
I think it's a neat play. It might be too thin there. I'm not sure, because it's kind of easy to have a random straight. It's kind of easy to have a flush. It's terrible if you get jammed. And if anybody's incentivized to jam, it's going to be easy game. So the question is, would you rather check and then induce a shove? Like, do you really want to check and call it off there? Not especially. So it depends a lot on how you expect easy game to play. If easy game's going to be jamming a lot, you can easily bet and then call it off, because he's going to drastically over bluff. But it's tough to know what to do in those spots at final tables where you really don't want to take 9th place.
Yeah, it's always fun to see how the players how they coordinate and they go about with these situations. This is some of the best players in the world. Is there anyone that personally? Obviously, Justin Bonomo, Benjamin Raleigh, the two kind of names that stand out to me. Are you familiar? Juan Pardo Dominguez, those three. Are you familiar with some of these other players' screen names? Or
I've played with them some online. I don't know them. Maybe I know them in person. I don't know. Some of these players try to be anonymous. Some of them don't. Don't know who you want out, who you don't want out. So I don't know, but they're all world-class players playing a $10,000 buy-in tournament every week or most weeks. And, they get in there and they battle. It is worth noting the payout structure in this tournament is usually kind of flat, to the point where you're not highly incentivized to get in there and gamble too hard. Like, you're really incentivized just to hang out and try to take 4th or 5th place with little to no risk. So that should kind of incentivize players to be a little bit more cautious than they may be whenever it's a little bit more top-heavy. That said, Wolves just getting after it.
Nice pressure bet here. Does pick up the gut shot, the king, and Rodrigo, who we see here often, very impressive Brazilian player. Every week, I feel like there's at least one Brazilian at the final table, but he is going to go ahead and release there. And a nice follow through there from Wool, we'll call him. He really did unload the barrel there, put max pressure when he picked up the extra equity. And as we expect, easy game going to be raising pretty wide at king King Queen, of course, a open here with his stack in the situation, but things really balanced out now with Juan Pardo Dominguez hitting that 8 on the river. No one's super short. Justin Bonomo, the only guy who is short, and still he's got playability with 540,000. He's got, he's got 13, 14 blinds, so he still has some maneuverability and always dangerous when he's in the game. What would be your strategy as a middling stack here? Because this is a pretty unique, when the chip leader has this big of a advantage. What are some things you're considering when you're a mid stack?
So right here, the middle stacks are all 25 or 30 big blinds. So I think the play is just to kind of hang out, not get too involved with the big stack ever.
Right.
This is a spot where when they fold to you, like right here where future me opens, maybe you can raise a little bit wide, even though you do have Barrick in the small blind. If there is a chance to raise a little bit wide, it's when the other big stack yet to act is in the worst position. You have to be a little bit more cautious if Barrick's on the button, because it's almost like Barrick's the big stack once easy game is folded. So I think the players with about 1.2 to 1.5 million chips should just be pretty conservative and hang out for a while until Bonomo doubles or goes broke, or maybe another medium stack goes broke. And then you go from there. Early in final tables where it's a rather flat payout structure, you just try to hang out. Try to not go broke first. And the tough thing is here is that even if one of the 1.5 million chip stacks doubles up, it's not like they're in great shape against Easy Game, because Easy Game still has twice as many chips and Barrick still has them covered by a little bit. So you're not highly incentivized to get in there and try to get a hold of a big chip stack right now.
Yep, makes perfect sense. I see that the zombie, after taking a really unfortunate kings to ace 5, would have had over 4.5 million. Does make a nice raise there with 5 deuce off, sort of recognizing that the best hands, worst hands want to raise there. Maybe check down some middling hands, but nice execution. And we've seen some players go for it. I think we're going to be indicative today of a action final table. People don't seem afraid. We've seen some aggressive maneuvers already, and some all-ins with the ace 5 shooting it there on the 3-bet, and it looks like they're having fun, John. I don't know. I mean, this is a lot of emojis being thrown. A lot of players are familiar with each other, and it looks like a fun atmosphere in a good group here. Let's see now. Easy game in the small blind, big blind, how he's going to approach Ben, who is a guy who knows his way around the poker table, and he has a queen 8 offsuit getting raised into.
Yeah, definitely an interesting spot. I certainly think Easy Game should be raising very, very frequently. Yep. I think junky offsuit hands are at least reasonable to raise.
Yeah.
So yeah, I like the raise, and this is a rough flop because this should connect pretty well with Ben's range, I would think, because he's gonna have a lot of draws and a lot of jacks. But he doesn't this time. That said, I mean, look, he's not going to call the queen 8, right? But if he did have even the queen of hearts, maybe he's supposed to stick around for the tiny bets in position. It's certainly a rough spot, and it sets Easy Game up to continue bluffing if he feels inclined on the turn and river, but that's not a particularly good hand to keep bluffing on the turn and the river, so I'm not sure what he would have done in that scenario. Probably just give up. It's okay to make small bets, because if your opponent's ever folded the small bets, it's a pretty nice success. This might be a pretty bad spot for Ben in the small blind. He's probably going to take the cautious route in this scenario, whereas maybe you take a more aggressive route if it's a more top-heavy tournament. With Bonomo, again, sitting very shallow stack, knows he does just call.
Wow.
Right here with a flush draw, like maybe you just want to check, shove it in under most circumstances. But maybe you don't do it in this scenario. Because again, Bonomo's kind of short. We'll see what he does. I mean, look, it's never bad just to be pretty aggressive in these scenarios from out of position. But it's tough whenever you have the shallow stack.
Yeah, he is going ahead and comes out with a just check call, picks up additional outs, ace king. Got to feel pretty good. That's a bit of it's an interesting card. Definitely when Ben flats in the small blind, gonna have a lot of suited broadways. This type of hand, ace jack suited, gonna have some pairs. Ace king, no future in me. Also very experienced player, finds himself here frequently, and he is, got a decision here what to do if he's going to bet and what sizing. Maybe pretty big. Deny flush draw equity. It's he doesn't have a club in his hand. Very likely scenario his opponent does have something like this: ace 10, ace jack, ace queen suited. So size wise, I would think he's going to size up or check, and he does check. But are you surprised by that?
I am surprised by the check there. Yeah, you lose to the king queen, but that's about it. I mean, maybe pocket sevens, maybe pocket fives. They decided to call pre-flop. And you block the king queen pretty nicely. So I'm kind of surprised he didn't go for the bet in that scenario. Notice though, Ben did not just check raise and load his money in. And if he did, he'd be out right now, or at least, he'd be out. And by taking this cautious route, he makes it to where If he does lose his hand, he's going to lose a third of his chips or half of his chips and then still be in the tournament. And
Nice.
he kind of got off the hook because Future of Me didn't make him put a bunch of money in on the turn.
Wow. And look at that recognition. Decides not to bluff at it. He has the clubs. You know, maybe he's thinking a hand like 8s, 9s, 10s. He could maybe get to fold here with a big bet, but really interesting decision there to check. And maybe also thinks sometimes he has the best hand, possibly, that the opponent may not bet again. But as played, very interesting line here. Now Future of Me, when gets checked to twice, has got to believe this was a 2-street hand at this run out, the King 7-5, Queen 6. So he does go for a bet on the river. And, you know, again, well played by Ben. I think really, really interesting. As you mentioned, he gets to preserve his stack. Didn't put it all in. You know, didn't run off a flush draw into a good hand, and you know, he still got a million chips, and he's still considering. Like you said, I don't think he was necessarily giving up on the river. He's curious. What hand bet check bets here?
I mean, it would seem insane to find a call in the spot. I mean, maybe you can bluff it all in, try to get a queen that's value betting to fold. Maybe. I don't know. That seems optimistic to me.
Honestly,
I think it's just a fold.
Ace King isn't. I mean, if he somehow did rip it in, right, or check raise big, is Ace King wouldn't love it. That's for sure. But it's such a bizarre. This hand is definitely not a standard line. We've overall, this is interesting, and two guys definitely know each other. Let's see what Ben. He might be playing a lot of tables, but I doubt it. I think he's really considering options here.
Most of these players are not 20 tabling right now. Most of them are giving this a little bit of focus.
Yes. And Ben is in the tank. I think it's more towards call, not raise at this point, though. I don't know if Ben has like a 2-minute tank ship in. That would be pretty strong.
The problem is that you may lose to random queens, right? And I think queens may go for value in this scenario. A king certainly will if he had like King 10 suited or something. I mean, that's a hand that could easily check back turn and then go for value, kind of big on the river. So I think you lose to a lot here. I mean, what are you really beating? You're beating like Ace 10 and Ace 9 suited, Jack 10. But I mean, Jack 10 may just bet the turn. 10-9 suited, maybe that just bets the turn a lot of the time. So I don't know. This is a tough one.
Yeah, he has the clubs, right, as well, which is like the immediate kind of draw that misses. So that's not good. He also has
right. So you don't beat Ace 8 of clubs, right? Because Ace 8 of clubs he can't have.
Right. Yep. And you don't beat the Jack 10s, and as you said, maybe Jack 10 would continue on the turn. So this is he's deep in the tank.
He does call. Ooh.
Okay.
That's an aggressive look up.
It is, you know, at the other end of the spectrum, he could easily be out, right? If he just check raised and you know, you got to look at it positive. So interesting hand, and everyone was, like I said, not a most standard line, but these guys are playing at a high level, and a lot of times they have a lot of experience with one another. So probably some history between the two. And here we go, Ben with King Queen offsuit against Easy Game, who's a chip leader on the cutoff, raising, and that does feel like a good spot to shove. Well, good recognition, and it's going to work.
Definitely a good hand, good spot to shove. No other great option in that spot, I don't think. Noticed Easy Game did open Queen 9 offsuit. That's a hand that you would fold if you were not the chip leader, but as the chip leader, you can put in the 2 big blinds and apply a little bit of aggression.
Yeah,
it is worth noting. These players have played with each other a lot, and maybe, for all I know, every time Ben's played with Future of Me, whenever it goes check on the turn, and then he bets the river, maybe he only has the nuts or nothing. Like maybe he's super polarized there, right? And if Ben thinks that Future of Me is super polarized, and he thinks he bets Ace King and King Jack on the turn, like I kind of presume Future of Me would, then what's he really doing, right? So if he's the type of player who maybe doesn't bet a queen, so he's not betting a queen, and he probably doesn't bet a king, what's he have, right? I mean, there are not that many bluffs available, but you beat them all. So maybe you find the bluffs, or you find the call and he shows you a bluff. That said, I think fold's probably just default there. But I mean, he did a good job to just not check raise the flop and load his money in. As I think a lot of people do in that scenario.
Well, he didn't have to stew long. He got it basically right back on that open and shove takedown, picking up 185. So basically his call right back. He's sitting around $1 million. Dangerous player, of course, Ben CB. And here we go. This could be, we see a 3-bet now, gets Bonomo out of the way, because instead of maybe flatting I don't even know if he would shove with the sixes with the raise and the flat, not a lot of fold equity, but as it plays, Future Me does pick up ace jack, and easy game, trying to make it an easy game. He's getting some resistance here, John. People aren't just letting him run over, open, and take down pots. There's been some playback, some close spots where people are being, taking aggressive lines, realizing that he's going to be a little bit out of line as he has been so far today. So this has been a fun final table to start. I can already tell guys are going for it. So we'll have a fun afternoon today.
Unfortunately for Easy Game, he has a bunch of world-class players all across the table from him, and it makes it difficult to open a little bit too wide because they're going to be the types of players who may give you a little bit of resistance compared to players who are going to be way too tight or way too cautious.
For sure.
They realize you can't just fold the ace jack offsuit to an open raise, right? Like you probably want to 3-bet it. And that's what the opponents are going to do instead of just calling and letting Easy Game see the flop with his jack 10 and then run players over.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And we are seeing here a nice big blind hand, and Barack, who made the aggressive shove with ace 5 off into kings, got there on the turn with the wheel, is now again playing around here. Jack 6 off. I mean, definitely he's giving him the good luck. This is they're pulling it all out. Didn't make him sweat too long. But these boys are having fun today. I'll tell you what, this is definitely an interesting group as we see the blinds up 25K 50. So now Bonomo is just over 10 big blinds. The shortest stack. Barack played Jack 6 off. Surely will play a pair when folded to him in the cutoff. And similar spot to Ben CB with the cutoff button, but this time we see a call, not a shove. What do you think about that? I mean, it just feels like this hand, welcome into big blind. You go multi-way here. Maybe get fold equity by jamming. I'm a little bit curious on the flip.
I mean, it's 30 big blinds. It's a decent number of chips, right? It's not like he was 20 big blinds deep like Ben was a minute ago. Also, he's raising into a range that should be tighter because Easy Game can raise wider than Barack can in general in these scenarios. And now Bonomo is effectively a little bit shorter, right? So Bonomo before had whatever it was, call it 15 big blinds. Now he has 10. So all of those things should make you less inclined to shove the king queen. You may want to just 3-bet the king queen and then fold it to a shove. I don't think that's all that bad in the spot, but I don't mind call. I think call's perfectly fine. Just put in 2 big blinds, try to see a flop, go from there. I think that's probably good there because when you do shove and you get called, it's so bad for you. You torch a lot of
players. Easy Game has a key card and top pair here. Decides not to go betting. Maybe has some other plans. Also might just have the best hand. Interesting that the 4s makes the set. There's a possible flush, a little bit of deception, pot control going on from Barack. And, as played, very interesting here. If Barack now has to decide to go for some value, it does make a four liner to a straight though. Definitely some big blind could have some 5s. You lose to flushes, and very curious what he does. I got to imagine he's going to bet his set here and just not, somehow gets raised with fold, but even against a 5, right? Like you're not going to probably get raised because the flush. So it's an interesting board, and Easy Game now. Easy Game's got a key card. He's got the nut card here. So these are always, I actually have a problem with these, right? Because it's like, you could play it super aggressive and like you have the key card, but also, it's like you feel obligated to bluff, but he just decides to fold. Nice lay down there. Would have been curious if he made a big raise, what Barack would have done.
I'm kind of surprised he didn't find a call there because Barack's not going to have very many 5s, right? And he probably put in more money with an ace to some extent, although maybe not. It's tough to know. That was a cautious line by Easy Game. Maybe Easy Game's got tired of losing every hand and decided to take one off.
Yeah, well, he is in jeopardy here of losing this pot as well. Gets out flopped. It was a flip, but out of position. He is now in second place after being in first. And Future Me's got spade. He's got the 10, and he decides to check back. Makes sense, right? Doesn't want to get blown off his hand. May just have the best hand. And spade rolls off on the turn. King 5-10 with the 2 of spades. So Easy Game has got one out to actually win the hand. Doubt he's going to be getting 2 out of line here, trying to win. I think he's just going to check, try to show down, and Future Me likely content with his hand here. Although maybe could argue to value bet something with the 10 nut kicker as the hand play, but got to respect the chip lead, John.
Yeah, I mean, I think betting for value here is very reasonable on the river. I think a lot of people probably don't bet enough for value. Also, you have to realize if you bet like 125K or 150K here, your opponent's not just going to rip it in on you all that often, right? I mean, they may go for the super aggressive raise, but it's kind of hard to represent too many nut hands in easy games shoes. You know, checking flop, checking turn, checking river. Most people just don't do that all that often with really good hands. And as long as your opponent's not going to be making giant shoves over you, it's fine to go for thin-ish value. It gets a little bit dicier when you get shallower stack, because then your opponent can more reasonably put you all in. They don't lose quite as much whenever their bluffs fail. But something we're going to see over and over again is whenever a 1.5 or 2 million chip stack is playing against easy game, they're just going to do a lot of checking on the flop and just trying to play small and medium pots. And not have to get all in, right? You really don't want to get it all in whenever there are multiple shallow stacks at the table. And as the blinds get higher and higher, that's going to become even more true for the medium stacks.
Yeah. Well, here we see a blind on blind, 2 8s, huge hand. Ben trying to get in there for cheap, balancing some of maybe limp some huge hands. Gonna try to get with some weak ones. And Juan just thinking, does he want to raise or shove? Think that raising is strong enough hand to not have to shove here, but let's see what he goes with.
So I'm not sure if you should even necessarily play the 7-2 suited here. It's a dicey spot, but you have to presume Juan's going to be at least a little bit aggressive. 7-2 suited is not good. You'll find that in payout implication scenarios like this, where you're playing 15-ish big blinds deep, you have to be a little bit tighter than you may naturally if there are no payout implications. Now you just fold, I would think. He decides to get after it, though. All right. Your guy, Ben. He's on your team. The audience has one. Who do you think is going to win this one?
Well, in this particular hand, I mean, I like that raise from Juan, really, with that, you know, to induce and then know his hand strong enough. I think that's something you might see oftentimes. Players just shove all in, and look at the example. You get a weak hand to raise, or maybe even somehow like an ace 4 or something to shove.
Yeah, definitely a good line to not rip it in. I mean, look, ripping it in is fine. And it might even be okay, given Bonomo is so short. I mean, that's really the thing. Bonomo being so short, it should really make you not want to find a way to get your money all in.
Right. Right. And that's the thing, though. 15K pay jump, roughly. A lot of these guys are you know, play the highest stakes, and they're willing to maybe get a little bit cute and go for it in spots that some might not, right? So that's
Sure.
But yes, of course, you don't want to just give away 15,000 a buy-in and a half for no reason, or if you're not having to risk it. I got to ask we see some people in the chat. Welcome in, everyone. Thank you for letting us know where you're watching from. Appreciate all of you being here, and some questions about live poker. I would like to get to the win in December, and then January there's also pretty good series going down at the Baja Mar. John, I know we ran into each other at Baja Mar a few years back. And you've been there for sure. So any of these tournaments, any stops, live things on your radar?
I'm going to the Hard Rock in Florida in 3 days to play their tournament series. They have some, I don't know what they have. They have some 3,500 and some 5Ks and a 25K or something. I don't know. They have some poker tournaments there. There's a big art and NFT festival right after it in Miami. So that's going to be fun. So I'm going to go for poker, then for a party. And then
we can do our dinner. We can do our dinner there. I'll be there. I'll be back.
Perfect. Yeah. And then I'm going to Baja Mar. If I win, we can do the dinner at Baja Mar because it's expensive. And if I lose, I'll take you out to get a drink on the beach.
Okay. Yes, we can go to a taco stand. I know a good place out there. That's fine.
Think of the value.
Yes, Baja Mar is it is pricey, but gonna be some good series that way. Definitely a lot of poker tournaments going on. So you won't make the win then?
I am not. Both of my kids have birthdays in December, and there's holiday time in December, and I'm getting back in early December from Florida. So there's just a lot going on in December. And I realized as soon as both of my kids had birthdays in December that poker was ruined in December for me, at least for about 20 years. Such is life.
Well, I'll tell you what, Bonomo is a very cautiously strong player, but this is just too good, and he is going to get some bad news here. Although, you know, Zombie, this is like stone cut off, right? 7s might want to fold, 9s. It's you don't really love calling it here. Although you still have chips if you lose. You put out 100, you're probably flipping, maybe dominant. I think it's just too good. Although you can see the hesitation. Wow. Woo. Jonathan Little, let me ask you a question. Like this, actually, you know, speaking of Hard Rock, I remember one of the first times I played with Bonomo. It was a 25K. final table at the Hard Rock. It was like super shallow. I think everyone had between 4 and 16 big blinds. He had 4. He ended up taking second. And like, I just like, he just like, and from that, I was so impressed at like, he got like a fold in one spot, you know, like he just, I mean, that is lucky, right? I mean, that's like, that's a very lucky fold that like he's crushed, not flipping, gets the fold. Now he's at 900K and, you know, he should be 20% to be in the tournament still. It doesn't it seem like great players, the best just seem to find, they create these like extra good situations. I don't know. It just seems crazy to me. Like I'm a little bit surprised by that fold. What about you?
So about the fold is probably close. I mean, that's the spot where if any, you should be inclined to not call, because if Zombie Chow loses, he's down to 10 big blinds. And if he folds, he's still in fine shape. Notice Ben in the scenario is down to 10 big blinds as well. So that's another reason to not want to get short. So look, I probably would have found the call. It might actually be a small losing call. I don't know. It's going to be close. Funny though, you said that you think Bonomo kind of hangs around as a little bit cautious, because I played a 25K with him in Florida when they first started them. And we played some hand on the bubble of the tournament where we both got in for like 100 big blinds. I shoved with the ace king. He crying called it off with the 10s, and he won and I lost. And I snuck in the money and then he won the tournament, I think. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
No, he got second in another one there.
There you go. So he was willing to call it off for a load of chips on the bubble. And he would have been out on the bubble and I would have had all the chips, but instead I lost the flip. And so I had to sneak into the money. But I've played some hands with him where he is not especially cautious against me. Maybe by design. I don't know. Maybe he thinks we play differently or something.
Listen, I mean, he's the number 1 or 2 money all-time earner. So when I say cautious, yeah, that could be mistaken. I want to say he seems to, I mean, listen, he's a great poker player. He seems to find a way to maneuver. I guess I should say I'm more impressed on his short stack ability. When I've seen him short stacked, he does very well. I'm not saying he's not going for it. He's not aggressive or making, you know, great plays. I'm just saying I should reword that. I should say his maneuverability on a short stack to me is impressive. That's like what some of the interactions I've had or seen. That's what I would say. So as you would expect, right?
If you're all the best players play shallow stacks well. They don't give away their money. They don't just load it in there and try to take first place or nothing. They realize that there's a lot of value in taking 4th place in this tournament. And to be fair, I mean, I think Bonomo's shove with the ace is probably perfectly fine and reasonable, and the fold with 9s is close. Yeah, it's closer than you may think. That's the spot where if there were no payout implications, you would call it off no problem. Yeah. But I'm telling you all, with a relatively flat structure, you just have to be super duper cautious calling off your money. And in that scenario, Bonomo's shoving range is going to be just mostly big pairs and big high cards, right? So you're roughly flipping maybe a little bit behind, and then there are the payout implications where you don't want to get down to 10 big lines. So I certainly don't fault Zombie Chow for folding there.
Yep. Well, there's the Rockets. The first time I think we've seen the aces today is going to go ahead and raise it up. Doesn't really have much of a customer now. Ben CB, he'll like this. He likes to talk about the risk premium in his course. Also another man in the poker community that's this term where you're the shortest stack. You have the least to risk, right? If he goes out, it's not a huge stack. So he is incentivized a bit to call as the shortest stack. Obviously, this is a flop that he is going to just be missing and done with. But yeah, nice. You know, he does peel the 8-6 suited, and he is going to get out of the way there. Nothing too exciting. Future me does chip up, and you know, easy game. I got to point out, like it really hasn't been a cakewalk for him. He hasn't really had a chance to assert himself and chip up yet. I guess still 6 million though. He's still got a nice lead, but man, that is. I would love to see some of the hands leading up to the final table, because I have not seen a chip stack this large at the final table to start. This big.
To be fair, sometimes it's just 2-3 million chips who run into each other right before the final table, and one has aces and one has kings, and one of them wins, and one of them loses, and there you go. Other times, maybe easy game is insane. Look at here, 3-betting the ace-8 offsuit against the medium stack. Pretty aggressive line. Because ace-8 offsuit's not a great hand, but it's also not such a bad 3-bet bluffing hand. Because you block aces. It's impossible for your opponent to have aces when you have ace-8.
It is. It is impossible until
it's literally impossible, except for right here.
Yeah. And he's going to get clicked back on. And, you know, that's a frustrating situation for easy game, right? He's just like, man, come on, really? Like, he knows this guy has to be the tightest too. This is like a disaster. If this player were to get knocked out right now, it would be an absolute just, you know, it's as bad as it gets. But he says, come on. What do you think about a flat there from Brock? Or do you think it's just too ambitious, just too cheeky, too tricky at this stage with the dynamic?
You should probably just get your money in and not worry about it pre-flop, I think. I mean, you really, really, really do not want to let whatever easy game has outflop you. It would be such a disaster. That said, if you think he's going to blast it off every time with a whole lot of nonsense, like ace eight offsuit, you think he's just going to triple it off and give you a whole double up, then it's probably better to do that. But I certainly don't fault him for just re-raising.
Yeah. And I'll say
if he ever has suited connectors or suited aces or random big cards, you don't really want to allow him to see the flop.
Yeah, and I will say noticeably Wulu Dulu, if I'm pronouncing that right, or Wulu
Wululo
has been very aggressive. He's definitely been playing pots and going for it. I want to take a look at the stats again. Easy Game has never won a Super Millions, actually has no cashes. He's appeared 8 times in there. Also Zombie Chow, also not a ton of experience in there. We do see that Future Me has won season 2 Super Millions, and we also have I believe Benjamin Raleigh has won season 1, along with Justin Bonomo have each won the Super Millions 1 time. So there's good chance we'll see a new winner in the Super Millions today, as not a whole lot of trophies have been awarded from this group yet. So let's see who gets it. Obviously, Easy Game you're rooting for. The 3-pick thing was an interesting proposal, Jonathan. I gotta say, it's smart. I think you probably got me a little bit there, but let's see.
It seemed like a fun thing to do. Yeah. So I have Easy Game and Barack and Future of Me and Wool. And so far I am smashing you. It's not even close. You're drawing almost dead.
I'm a huge energy guy, and I feel very powerful still right now. I'm looking outside in the mountains. I'm feeling good. I think it's not over yet. That's all I'm saying. This is Ben CB is going to be in a bit of trouble here, as we see the ace is gone and he is against 2 10s and has a 10. And Bonomo, curious about this.
I think there's no world Bonomo can play this hand. That would be so loose.
Yeah. He was just taking a peek, but that would be out of line. And here it is, 10s to ace 10. Benjamin Raleigh, Ben CB is known for and chop opportunities. Club makes it interesting. Needs to hit on the river. He's got to find something that improves him, and it is not a 8 or an ace. And that is GG's all around. Golfer claps are out, and big pot for the Brazilian. Up to 1.5. Good game. Look at that, though. 6.5 million on GG alone, 2 million Super Millions earnings, and he does have a title. So good game, Ben. Always good to see you at the final table. 31 ranked in the Super Millions overall, pretty strong, and everyone relieved to see the pay jump, see a very formidable opponent bow out 8-handed. I mean, it's true, right, John? When you're at a final table and you're all in and you're sure, people are always rooting against you, right? It's like people want pay jumps, they want it to move on. It's like you can't win unless you start losing some players, and this is the case here. 8 left, 66,000 guaranteed, and just a flat. Barack's been pretty aggressive, makes sense. And whoa, got a action flop here.
Wool decides to splash around with the 7-5 suited in the small blind, which is kind of interesting. Also worth noting, whenever a player as good as Ben busts, even if they do have a tiny stack, you're happy about this, right? Like you want the players who are very accomplished, very strong players out of your tournaments, and you're never sad about that. Look at this royal flush draw, almost drawing dead.
Almost drawing dead. Key blocker, interesting spot. Does block ace 10, has the heart, going to lead out into Barack, who played his 2-pair koi and now has a boat. So this is got to be music to his ears. There are a few hands he loses to, but feeling pretty good about King Jack here. And aces also, you could have a hand like Queen King, or there's some definitely King X's. You block the nut flush. This is be interesting what he does on if he bets or if he checks.
Well, if he checks, he's of course just going to check call, right? If he bets small and then gets raised, he may find this bizarre spot to use pocket aces as a bluff. I think it'd be ridiculous, but this is what some big stacks do. They just really get after it. So he does go for the small bet, which I think is reasonable. He's going to get raised. Probably not all that big, maybe to like 650 or 700 or something. And then he's going to have plenty of room to shove if he feels inclined. I mean, he has the ace of hearts blocker. That's a powerful blocker.
I think it's going to be like 800. But
I mean, look, normally I think your options are to call or fold, but some people I think will get overly aggressive. And like you said, we don't know how Easy Game was playing in the spot leading into this tournament final table. I think Brock probably wanted to give more room to bluff. I think if your opponent does have like ace of hearts, king, ace of hearts, queen, whatever. Because those are like pretty good bluffing hands there because they block full houses and they block the nut flush. No, it's not really a nut flush because it's not the nuts. But I think you probably want to raise a little smaller.
Yeah. Well, Brock did go a little bigger and he didn't get even a consideration for a call.
Snap fold the aces. Nothing has gone right for Easy Game in this final table so far. He has gotten crushed just by running into it.
Yeah, but I mean, what did he start with? 6 point something. He's not super down. But you would definitely think the general trend with this big a lead would be to preserve or chip up a bit. So it's not gone swimmingly well for him. And now Barack is closing in on that chip lead. Although we did lose a player, and he's still sitting pretty powerful here. We see Juan Pardo Dominguez go for a small bet, take it down.
If you think about it, though, Easy Game's lost 20-something big blinds, and he's made multiple loose opens that have failed. They've made aces and lost, didn't lose all that much. So it could have been way worse. I know it feels bad to lose every hand for the first 45 minutes of the final table, but sometimes it's going to happen, and you have to do your best to minimize the losses. And so far, Easy Game hasn't been insane, hasn't run any sort of ridiculous bluff. And yeah, he's down, but certainly nowhere near outs, certainly not giving away the money.
Yeah, so far, not a dream start for him, but still, he's sitting not a huge, not like he doubled up a middle stack or something. It's not crazy. And look at this, Jack 9 suited, little spice from Juan Pardo Dominguez gets the fold.
That's a very spicy one. I'm surprised that did not just call and see the flop, but if you think your opponent's raising a little bit too wide, I guess you can get after it, but that does not seem like an especially amazing spot to get after it against under the gun opener. I mean, maybe people know Future of Me is a little bit loose. Maybe. I mean, I don't know. I don't know anything about Future of Me. Nice little open from the King 7. Obviously, you must play that as the big stack, but some players, whenever they are the big stack, get in their mind that their goal is to just be cautious and to hang out, not to try to bust people. Some people have the opposite of the lunatic mentality. They think, all right, I'm just going to hang out and take a free third place at least, and then go from there. But that's usually not the play.
Yeah, no. Yeah, this is definitely, again, it's interesting when players are more willing to go for it. We're seeing that today, and we are also in a still 8-handed scenario. The blinds have increased a bit, as we see in the upper left how many more hands, which is cool. It shows you level 30 of the tournament, also gives you the next payout information there. And Wulu has gets shoved on. King Jack suited, one of those hands that you can sort of re-raises. You can 4-bet or put pressure on, but not when it's all in. Not so much fun to call. And Easy Game, yeah. Let's see how he deals with this adversity. He's definitely not had a smooth run. I see some questions about me on Jack. Exactly, Greg. I do love Jack 9 suited. I was saying for myself live, I kind of on the fence about stuff as well. I'm not sure. You have 2 kids, right, Jonathan?
2 kids.
2. How have you found a good rhythm now? I mean, they're a little bit older in terms of
6 and they're 6 and 4. The rhythm is basically the same as it was for the last few years, where I'll stay home for 3 weeks out of the month and travel 1 week out of the month to play poker, roughly. And when I'm home, I'm mostly hanging out with the kids, working on pokercoaching.com, writing books, stuff like that. And whenever I am away, I'm just playing a ton of poker.
Very nice. And I'll tell you what else is very nice. Justin Bonomo is back from the depths. He gets it in a good spot. Jams ace 9, gets called by ace 7 suited. Future of Me runs it down, can't quite get there. And Bonomo with a very clean flop, no sweat, drawing dead on the turn. And he is in a very nice spot now, 1.5 million. I mean, look at his stack. He's literally tied for like third.
It was stone last coming in, but you had faith in Justin Bonomo. And there you go. You put your dinner on the line on the shortest stack, and now he's in good shape. Like you said, he just hangs out and gets it in good. I mean, Ace nine's not a no-brainer all in against the raise, but he just loaded in there, no problem. Got called, no problem. Got the free double up. For my player, future of me.
Yeah, future of me, tough player, does get a tough situation there, calls it off, and it was behind. And now we see, again, a little different dynamic brewing. Zombie Choi, I think the one who's gotten the worst shake of it all, right? He got kings, got it all in pre, would have been in a clear second place. Barack capitalizes, and Barack's really been putting the pedal to the metal here. He has not slowed down after that double. He's been very aggressive and opening a lot, playing pots, and has a nice game plan going. So good. It's always nice, right? When you get rewarded, get there, and some people just sit back and like, oh, that was enough excitement for me. Let's just make this like let's go. But no, he's ready to roll. He wants more. Brock's putting it down, and he's been causing havoc here. And there it is. Bonomo doesn't have a customer, it looks like, but he does get dealt the aces. Such a good feeling, right? Just getting aces is it's nice. And then the flop comes, and the flop, things change. But aces 9-3 off, easy game. Easy game's got to be thinking, what's going on? I can't even defend my big blind. I'm chip leader. Like I it's like, yeah, it feels like forever he's even won a pot.
I don't think he's won a pot. He's won the blinds a time or two. That's about it. So Brock has been pretty aggressive so far. I would recommend they slow down a little bit, because they do still have easy game big stack on their left, and also two very good shove stacks on their left. So if there's ever a time where you're sitting there with 80 big blinds that you should be cautious, is when you have obvious shove stacks to your left and also the big stack, because they can ruin your day. Also, the blinds did just go up, right? So now you have a 20 big blind stack and a 15 big blind stack, and then a humongous stack. And that's the spot where Brock has to be very cautious, even with an 80 big blind stack. Wow.
Look at this.
Cautious poker there. I'd have been in with that king queen.
Look at Juan though. Look at the depth to his game. Jack 9 suited, rips it on an open from the big line, and then king queen off, checks back. He's behind, and would have probably raised. I guess that was his thought. I don't want to raise, get raised, like play back at it and go with this hand. And it's a very strong hand in the situation, but he is behind, and his opponent does flop top, although he does get a very valuable turn here, a heart. Maybe he decides to try to take a shot here, get an ace high to fold. He has a key card. He's got two overs if somehow his opponent has a pair. Be curious if he bets or checks. He does check and hits gin on the river. I mean, this is a top two pair from easy game, but also doesn't love his hand, knows he loses to any heart. Maybe he goes with the blocker bet here.
Definitely a rough spot. Either bet small or check. Either one is probably reasonable. Yeah. It's hard to get called by too many worse hands, I think, because a lot of aces are going to shove pre-flop, right? So what are you trying to get called by? That's always something you want to consider, like what will actually call. Because normally on a 3 flush board, like a jack will call or an 8 will call, right? But on a 4 flush board, I'm not so sure a jack or an 8 will call.
Yeah, expect to raise here. Wow, goes big.
This might be one of those weird spots at a final table where maybe you're not supposed to raise. I'm not sure. Because, again, what's actually going to call you? I mean, sure, a 10 calls. A 10 of hearts calls, but a king of hearts obviously calls. And what else? Does a 9 really call? And I don't know. That'd be pretty optimistic, I would think. And it's kind of equally likely as a 10 or a king of hearts. I'm not sure about that one. That might be a little too aggressive, given Zombie sitting there kind of shallow.
I mean, let's talk about Bonomo with the 8s again. His hand of the day. He got the 8s through against 9s. Would have been 4-1 dog to be out in 8th or 9th. I forget. Maybe it was even 9-handed at the time. But yeah, quite a swing for him in control here.
Yeah, that was nuts. He would have just been out if Zombie Chow found a call. Instead, he's got a pretty good chunk of chips. You think Juan's going to load it in again? I mean, ace 5 also is probably a better hand than the jack 9 suited, really. Because he blocked the calling range, right? Juan
might have a hot date tonight. He's pushing the action. He may have somewhere to go that he's just like, you know what? I'm gonna have a big stacker. I'm gonna have a big dinner. He's definitely going for it.
That was a slightly cautious fold with the 10-9 offsuit. I mean, yeah, it's not a great scenario, but 10-9 is not terrible. A bunch of nitty poker players on GG. It seems like all you have to do is buy in and then run them over, huh? Ace-10 suited, certainly a good hand. Notice Wool not getting too out of line. This is definitely a reasonable spot to fold the 3s. You know, Juan did have a date. He's just sitting out now. That's why he's playing so aggressively. You were right. Had to go.
Yeah, I'm telling you, man, there's something to it. There's something to it.
Get a hold of some chips. I got to get out of here. If you know you must leave in 4 hands,
Yeah,
you might as well load it in and try to get some chips.
It's curious. Ace is getting handed out, John. We just, you know, for a while we didn't see that many big hands. We've seen kings get cracked, and now we got aces several times in a row. And Rodrigo against the aggressive Barack. Zombie
Another
Chow.
loose open again from Barack, right? I mean, so here's a spot where Zombie Chow knew Barack was opening stuff like Jack 10 offsuit, like he did earlier, King 5 suited. That I think the Ace 9 becomes a pretty reasonable shove hand. If you don't know that, then definitely just fold. But as your opponent's raising even a little bit too wide, if they're not going to defend their calling range well, then you can run them over. Obviously, you have to be a little more cautious when you're in earlier position, like Zombie Chow is. But this is certainly a scenario where I would be looking to apply a lot of aggression against Barack, especially when Barack raises from cutoff or hijack seats. This is probably a pretty good spot to slow play.
Yeah, you know, at the same time, he's a guy that, you know, you saw him rip the ace 5 suited, ace 5 off. Maybe give him a little rope, maybe get a little small 3-bet or some 3-bet, and maybe he makes a crazy play. But yeah, it's
that screams strength, though. I mean, he might actually do it with the King 5 suited randomly, but it looks so strong to re-raise here for a third of your stack. Are you really running all that many bluffs here? It's like almost never. And he's not going to call with King Queen offsuit or Ace Jack offsuit. He's just going to fold, right? And you really, really, really want to keep those in. And you got to realize that calling helps defend your calling range, right? Because you do want to call some hands in that spot, and you also don't want your opponent just tripling it off against you every time. And just calling with the aces helps protect your range there a lot, I think. I would re-raise kings and queens and ace king, but I think aces probably wants to slow play. The nice thing about slow playing aces, it lets you defend just a little bit wider because your opponent can't be so aggressive post flop.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that. I would have liked to see it too. I don't know. Yeah, it's so tricky though, man. It's so much money. I like it. I guess, you know, it's you could argue it. It's close on the stack size as well. I think his stack size was maybe more inclined to take a shot for a little higher variance. But man, you mentioned it before though, the ICM, the payouts, right? It just sucks when you get you let your opponent in, you get cute and you go out in 8th place. Instead, look at where he's at. I mean, he's basically tied for third, or in third, really, right? Like tied for third position, and you know, can't blame him for doing that.
But look at where he could have been. Could have been in 2nd position. That's more than 3rd.
That's true.
2 is greater than 3. All right, King 9 suited is a reasonable hand to go for a slightly loose raise. I would much rather raise King 9 suited than King 5 suited, like Brock just did a minute ago. King 9 suited does flop a little bit better. And that's worth a decent amount. This is a spot where 4s may just want to rip it in if there were no payout implications, but here it's probably just a fold. Wool has shown that he can call pretty wide from the small blind, though. He called 7-5 suited earlier, calling the 4s now. Look, I don't hate calling with the 4s, but that's a spot where you have to be careful because if Zombie has anything, he's going to rip it in, and then you're just going to have to fold out, which is terrible for you. And you're just not going to get that many great flops with the 4s. Like right here, this is actually not a bad flop, but it's, what are you going to do if he keeps betting the turn? I mean, on any turn, you're not loving it.
Yeah, this is, you know, King 9 suited. It's a pretty big turn card, obviously, for Juan here with he's got a lot going on. Got the double gutter over, second nut flush draw. Woo, it's been sticky. We saw a 7-5 suited earlier from him as well in the small blind.
This is a neat turn because obviously Juan has a load of equity, but if he bets and gets shoved, I mean, I don't even know if he's supposed to call it off or not, given Zombie's kind of short. So with draws like this, you'll find you often don't want to bet because if you bet and get jammed, you're really unhappy about it. You rather bet ace 9 offsuit or something like ace 9 of spades, because ace 9 of spades can easily bet and then fold to a shove. But this hand, I don't really think you can bet the turn and then call it off. And you really don't want to bet and have to fold it. So I think it's a pretty good spot to check it back.
Yep.
Now on the river with the king high, it's so easy for Wooloo to have a 10 or a 7. Kind of hard to have a whole lot else. I mean, I realize he has 4s, but kind of hard to get to feel reasonable bluffing in this spot. But at the same time, we have the king high, right? So I don't hate it. I mean, you got to find some bluffs, right? So if you're going to find some bluffs, usually flush draws are not particularly great bluffs, but sometimes you don't get to pick.
Yes, and we are back right in the action. As you see the break, we're fast forwarding through it, and we are going to pick up the action 8-handed, 363 up top, guaranteed 66,000. Anything stand out for you so far, Jonathan? Anything that you're kind of surprised about, or maybe many things?
Barack has been pretty active, pretty loose with the big stack he got from winning with ace-5 offsuit against kings right off the bat against Zombie Chow. I think he may end up getting crushed by the shallow stacks to his left and the big stack to his left if he does not chill out a little bit. So that's certainly worth noting. Bonomo got a hold of a bunch of chips. Your favorite player, he got in there. He's battling, and that's fun to see. Zombie Chow's got crushed so far. Nothing's gone right so much. Sometimes that's how it goes. Nothing's gone right for Easy Game either. Started with 6.6 million down to, well, look at this. Look at this. What are they doing?
I was saying in my head, I felt like something was coming. Defends 3-10 off. He hasn't got anything going at all, and he just decides to just take a random shot at it and put Wulu in the meat rack. But Wulu's got top pair, top kicker, nut flush card, and just decides to surf it in here. And Easy Game is got to be wondering what's happening. This is definitely not going swimmingly so far, but a lot of poker.
Yeah, so far I think all of Easy Game's plays have been very reasonable, but then he just all of a sudden decides to do some insane play like that, and that one was optimistic. Nothing wrong with a little bit of optimistic play from a big stack, though. You'd probably rather have a random heart in your hand, just so you can sporadically make a backdoor flush, or have a gut shot so you can randomly turn the nuts. The thing is look, I realize it's always tempting to find bluffs, but quite often in most scenarios, you're going to have plenty of logical bluffs that have some outs to either a really good turn draw or a really good turned hand like top pair or some sort of decent draw. And you really don't want to be check raising too often with just stone nothing. You at least want to overcard or backdoor flush draw or something.
Right. You want a little semi bluff, a little something, little chance for something.
You don't need much. Like on the Jack XX board, even just a random queen is enough sometimes. Or a random king is enough sometimes, but usually the undercards are not very good. Pocket twos, let's see what happens with this one. This is a spot where I don't mind calling the twos because we have big stack against big stack action. And if there's ever a time you're going to get to see the showdown kind of cheaply, it's going to be when you're in position against the other medium stack. He does just go ahead and put in a 3-bet, though. Aggressive.
I don't know how big a soccer fan you are or what's going on. If you saw the USA game yesterday, 1-1, a little disappointed not to win after being up and give up the penalty kick. But did you happen to see what happened to Argentina, Saudi Arabia? Did you follow this at all?
I have to watch my kids all day, and I do not get to watch soccer.
Well, maybe you caught the score line. But any soccer fans out there, I'm sure football fans, however you want to call it, what part of the world you're in, but pretty big deal. Saudi Arabia beat Argentina. I mean, that's a big deal. That's like one of the favorites, the favorite of the tournament, lost to that's a big upset. That would be like I don't know how to put it into an analogy, but that's a big deal, John. There's
no poker analogy that
I'm trying to find it. I'm trying to find one. It's hard. It's a big upset. That's all I'll say.
It'd be like if Alan Kessler got to the final table with 2 big blinds and everybody else had 100, and somehow Alan Kessler won.
Yeah, that would be that would be similar. That's definitely similar to it was a shock. It was a big deal. I'll see if anyone out there knows what's going on. But yeah, it's also it's fun, right? It's also like that's why it's always good to see. You want to see, that's why we play the game. That's why you play a final table, Jonathan. You don't just, it's not the chip leader gets to win. Yeah, sure, there's some deal making. Sometimes stuff can happen, but it's why you play the game. That's why sports and poker and all things that have some outcome to chance and luck, and any given day, any given game, things can happen. So I'll tell you what, Easy Game would love to sign for a deal. I think if he could ICM chop right now, things getting away from him at the moment. But to be fair, like you said, he got aces, got out dealt. He's made a couple maneuvers. He's gotten shoved on, and he's just never really caught a rhythm here.
Sometimes nothing goes your way, and the right play is to just sit back and hang out. Stop trying to push it because these players are clearly not letting you push it. Just a second ago, Barack opened the Jack 10 offsuit again under the gun, getting a little bit loose. But notice as his stack gets closer and closer to easy games, he can start to open it up a little bit. Zombie Chow's just had nothing to shove with, which is always frustrating. Because if you have a loose player on your right who's opening too wide, that's a really good spot to shove really wide, but you can't shove the 10-3 offsuit. At least you probably shouldn't. Brock has the 8-6 offsuit, which is definitely reasonable. The low, junky-ish offsuit hands are pretty good hands to raise when you're the big stack into shallower stacks. Blinds have gone up again. Zombie Chow sitting with only 10 big blinds now.
Yeah, this is definitely, yeah, this is no clear, no, it's sort of wide open right now. Even the middling stacks, right? They're one double away. Future Me's got 2 million. Barack not afraid. He's got 4.3. Those chips are active and easy game, man. You said maybe sit back, not force it, but there's queen 6 suited. You know, it's on the lighter side of opening, gets called by Jack 10 suited. And this one actually may work out for him where he gets to c-bet, take it down, small quarter pot. Zombie Chow with a nice defendable hand doesn't get much here and doesn't take much here. Easy can breathe on this 80K, you know, whatever, 75, 90,000. There it is. Small bet. And Zombie frustrated there because nice starting hand. Would have liked to catch some equity, hit a pair and go with it.
Definitely a very, very nice spot for Zombie, but it did not work out. Notice Bonomo had king queen offsuit in this hand and just lets it go. Again, like you said, it's a spot where you just don't want to get involved. I think he had king queen offsuit. He folded so fast. And it's a spot where shoving's the only logical play. But again, you have these other shallow stacks and comparable stacks hanging around. You have to be a little bit cautious. Right here's a spot where you can be pretty aggressive as the big stack, depending on how aggressive you think Rodrigo's being. So far, Rodrigo's been pretty snug, I think. So probably not a great spot to be overly aggressive. But if you think, for whatever reason, a player with a 20 big blind stack is opening too wide, you can shove really aggressively as a big stack. Lots of small pots.
Yep. Another defend, no good. King 10, the taxi. We know that one. We've talked about that a lot. This is a situation where easy game still has 5 million though. We gotta give him some credit. He's built a stack throughout the tournament and he's in a good position. He still is got to be the favorite to win chip wise. And Barack's been impressively aggressive. I would say he has really taken every opportunity to come in and play pots. And this time Zombie Chow gets the shove and honestly the math is pretty close. He does say good luck and call this time. He is gonna be in position. He's got a chance. Anything could happen. It's not a bad flop. Jack 10 isn't dead. Now is got a lot of turn. OMG is right. Let's see a river. Fades it with king high. Man, nice double for Zombie. So good for the dinner wager too. The taco stand is still alive we're not out yet, John. I'm not gonna wave the flag yet. I mean, you got me in bad spot, but it's still available. Still opportunities here.
You have a lot of the big names left though. I mean, the big names are big names for a reason.
The audience has Juan Pardo Dominguez as well.
That's true.
They got that bonus to short stack. He was at 300K, I think.
Wait, I have to buy everybody dinner in the audience if he wins? Is that what happens?
Yeah, it's a big dinner.
Okay.
Yeah, you're on the hook for. Yeah, that deal you cut me. I'm gonna have to plug it in. It felt the 3-for-1 was very very tasty, but the chips were just so dispersed. I don't know.
For whatever reason, I thought you would have gotten one extra player on that deal. If I knew you'd only get 4 players, it's probably not a good deal for you. I thought you would have gotten 5 players, and I would have got 4 instead of me getting 5 and you getting 4.
Well, we each got 4, right?
Yeah, but I thought you was going to get 5, which is why I thought it was closer to fair. You know what I'm saying?
I get it.
Like if we both get 4, then it's definitely good for me. But if we both get 5, then, or if you get 5 and I get 4, then definitely closer.
It's close, but hey, it's all for fun. It's good. Good dinner, good sweat. And you got to gamble while you're young. That's what we're here for. Everyone at home, hope you're enjoying. Hope you're having fun. We're having a good time here, watching some high level stuff. And look at this, Bonomo got the turn 7 all of a sudden. Don't think he can go anywhere. Has a king of diamonds as well. Big bet though. This is an important pot.
One of these spots where you just kind of have to close your eyes and call down and probably be out of the tournament. You certainly don't love it. I mean, I think Future probably has a reasonable bluff spot. I mean, he's got the 9 of diamonds. What more do you want in life? And I guess Bonomo's probably going to find a fold. The 4 of diamonds is kind of bad because it randomly connects with junk. and flush draws, right? He does have the king of diamonds though. It's a spot where, I mean, I don't know. I don't know how wide
It's
future me's going.
it's so scary to but you got the number one all-time money list earner right here, and you're bluffing into him. Huge spot. I mean, listen, bottom low, blind on blind. I've talked to some, this is a spot where people get saucy. You see people bust a lot in these spots because it's just the ranges are wide. People are going for it. I don't know, man. I'm not convinced he's folding. I just like the king. He has the king of diamonds. Yeah, you're right. Maybe like 5-6, some ace 5 with a diamond or something that just gets there, and it feels weird, but it just like, it's also, it's tough, man. Nice fold, nice bet. I mean, well, nice bet, I should say, and a reasonable fold. Can't imagine that would be quite a hero call, but man, future of me laying it down there, and look at this Wooloo. Let's see with easy game. Easy game has sort of been playing sheriff in spots and not really been the one to be first in or put the pressure on. Let's see if he can make a fold here, if he's going to actually 3-bet. And calling doesn't seem like a great idea, right? With the stack size to try to like set mine or play a pot. I think you'll see him raise or fold. And honestly, like, he's been choosing these aggressive maneuvers in the spots, but also, I would have liked to see him maybe sit this one out. But obviously we can see the cards. What does Wooloo do with ace jack off, ace 10 suited? There are some hands that happen here, but I just man, easy game. The guy's literally everything he does, it's just like he just gets like stuffed on. It's crazy.
Well, to be fair, he should have just folded the sixes and moved on with his life, right? I think a lot of people overvalue small pairs when there are payout implications, but when somebody raises, you really don't want to have low cards in your hand. You really don't want to have low cards. You really don't want to have shove stacks yet to act. And well, he had low cards and he had a bunch of shove stacks yet to act. So that's the exact spot you don't want to be in. So you just fold. Small pairs are no good. Suited connectors go way down in value as well. Like 9-8 suited, 8-7 suited. Whenever somebody raises in front of you and they're not all that deep stacked and you're likely to get shoved on, those are all pretty bad spots. That are normally not such bad spots if you're not at a final table.
Yeah.
Would you believe one of my friends who has a 6-year-old and a 4-year-old kid got up and went to see the soccer games for 2 weeks with his wife and 2 kids? That's strong. That's strong from New York City.
Well, I hope they're in a nice spot, because I've seen there was some that festival Firefly or what it was called. There's some parts where it's not so nice. They kind of just whipped it together quickly. But I mean, listen, going to the World Cup, it's if you got to rough it for a couple of weeks to go, it's pretty surreal experience. I mean, to go, that's a memorable one in Qatar for sure.
Is it in America next time? Is that right? Or the next time?
I think it's in. No, wait, the Olympics are in France, and Olympics, maybe it's 2020. Oh yeah, maybe it is 26 in America. Anyone in the chat have that covered? World Cup. You're right. I think it is. I think it might be in
and it's like all over America, which is kind of cool.
Yeah. Even Mexico and Canada somehow or something. I don't know. It's like,
I don't know about that.
I thought it was like North America, but maybe here it is. Easy game again. What's up, Julian Black? Good to see you. Good to see everyone in here. Appreciate you guys saying hello. Nice pot for Wooloo is on his way.
Again.
Looks like, is that the Dubai or what flag is that? I can't.
I'm not so good at geography. They failed me at that in the American school system. Sorry. I only know about a third of the flags. There are a lot of flags, to be fair. It is in Mexico, Canada, and U.S. We are said that I told. That's cool.
Okay, it's America's in North America. I guess North America, right? That's just what you call that with the.
I guess
the U.S. So, yeah, pretty sick. I mean, that'll be fun. That is definitely gonna be fun. The USA is they're in a little bit. I mean, they needed that win. It's a big deal. The World Cup's a big deal. I can't believe the Saudi Arabia result. I really, that blows my mind. That's out there. And I'll tell you what, this is an easy game. This could be a big spot. We could see some real paradigm shift here where both players are going to like this board. Top pair, top kicker, backdoor nut flush draw. And you got a gut shot and a flush draw here.
I mean, this is going to be it. I think we're going to have a bet from Rodrigo. Easy game's going to put in the raise with the 6 high, all the draws. I don't really see any other good option here. And this is important for our dinner bet because you have Rodrigo and I have easy game. Typically, you really like to raise draws that lack showdown value but have pretty good equity, like this one. And I think you just got to call it off. It's annoying when they show you the 8-4 or the 7-4 or the 8-7, but you just got to call it off.
Even this, I mean, this is scary. This is scary.
Fair flip, though, to be fair.
It is fair. It is fair until it's not. Gets the turn dead. Good game. An easy game who had a hard time getting it going is now back to close to his peak.
Wait, Jeff, are we trying to pick the people who would go out 9th, 8th, 7th, and 6th or first? Because so far you're smashing me on the 9th, 8th, 7th, and 6th. I was confused about the bet maybe.
It's a little too soon, Jonathan. I'm going to rub it in when I make the comeback here, but this is definitely getting a little out of hand. I mean, it's down to, I need some help.
Take a look at who you have, by the way. You have Bonomo, who is last in chips. And you have Zombie Chow, who is next to last in chips. Wow. Good thing they don't have that betting feature, huh? You'd lose all your money.
Wow. Yeah, I get parlay scooped. I could get liquidated here for sure. This is not looking good. I mean, you probably already pulled up the menus in the area and what's going on.
Where are we going? Where are we going? I'm gonna go to that. They got a bunch of nice places. Baja March can be so good. You ever made a parlay bet and you have like a bunch of 500, minus 500 favorites, like 4-1, 5-1 favorites, and then they just all lose? I've had that happen a few times, and you're like, what? What? If I would have just bet the other side, I'd be rich.
Well, here's Bonomo gets a decent start here. 8s to 7-4 suited. Runner is needed. There's one the hard way, looking for the running pair. And it is not to be. Bonomo's not going to get runner very often. 2 million all of a sudden. That starts with 1. Here we go. So it is back, and he is all of a sudden in, I think, tied for third, as we are down to 7-handed, locked up $84,000, 363 up top.
If you had to pick a champion to give your money to go play poker with, it'd probably be Bonomo. So you don't have a whole lot going on, but you at least have your money in good hands. And don't forget, Zombie Chow got it all in right off the bat with kings and lost the ace-5 offsuit. So it's not like Zombie Chow was giving it away or anything.
For sure. Well, future me, here's easy game, man. This guy really came with a plan.
Easy game is getting after it. Maybe a little bit too much. You have to be careful when everybody has 20 big blind stacks because they can just shove on you or re-raise you or whatever, and you can't do a whole lot about it. Yeah, Robin says he has a jack blocker. I mean, what are you going to do? You got the jack blocker. You got to raise.
Jack 9 is going to go into the bin, and here, this is like, the deuce 9 hurts to fold. He's not playing 100%. He's looking to get involved, and I respect it. I like it. I think it makes it more fun, right? When you have guys that are just, if it's close, they want to go, they lean on aggression, and we are still 7-handed. So we've been going for a while here. We've had a couple knockouts. We had a couple big flips early, and we've had a couple high-powered all-ins. But at the moment, one with the 7s, kind of interested. Look at the 7s fold there. I'll note that one, Mr. Jonathan Little. What do you think?
I think it's reasonable. That's a spot where I think people play a little bit too aggressively. I mean, what are we playing? 20-ish big blinds deep under the gun. I mean, look, if you told me you wanted to raise it, I wouldn't hate it. I think it's probably okay to raise, but it's fairly raisable. You look at any ICM adjusted GTO charts, don't do that while you're playing, you'll get in trouble. But if you look at the charts away from the table, you'll see that hands like 6s fold a lot when you're in under the gun 7-handed at final tables, and 7s are sometimes close. And the times you really do not want to play them are when you're either going to get shoved on a lot or when you have a bunch of big stacks yet to act. Or when there's a shallow stack. We don't have a shallow stack here. Basically, you don't want to play the small pairs very often at all. And Juan apparently has studied a little bit.
Yeah, look, there's that King Jack I mentioned earlier. It does find a shove. Zombie Chow picking up a little bit of steam here and is a decent position. Everyone, no one's short now. No one is like critically short. We got about 20 bigs is sort of the shortest stacks, and easy game. We've seen him play aggressive. He's picked on Wulu a couple times. This time a little better hand, a little better spot, but does just flat.
Yeah, I think it might be fine just to rip it in. I mean, eights are again in like kind of that small pair category where you don't really love shoving. It's not small, but it's not amazing either. The problem is if you call, you will get shoved on by one or future some portion of the time. And if you do shove, Wool has to call off really tight, which is good for you. So now it's just going to fold back around to easy, and it's just a fold. It's annoying, but it's a fold. Easy may not fold. We've seen easy show propensity to gamble a little bit here and there, and you might be getting a little bit frustrated. We'll see.
Yeah. It's not fun to call off when you could definitely be 4-1. He does ultimately make that decision and fold. And Juan Pardo Dominguez, just before the blinds, now up to 40-80K, is going to push himself over 20 bigs. But literally 20. I mean, there's almost everyone with 20 bigs. And then there's two guys with a lot, like almost dead on 20 blinds for 4 players here. 5 players, I'm sorry. 5 players have right around 20, 23 blinds.
Zombie Chow is still our shortest stack, but like you said, 20 big blinds. You know, Zombie Chow is a Hearthstone card. You know about Hearthstone?
I do, but I wasn't aware of that reference. But that
Zombie Chow is a Hearthstone card. It's for one mana. It's a 2/3.
Okay, sounds powerful. Sounds
it
like
is powerful. If it dies, your opponent gets 5 health back. So some decks use it. Ooh, that's aggressive. I don't mind it though. I mean, ace-x suited is a really good hand to rip it in with because you block your opponent's calling range and you always have 35-ish% equity. Juan might decide to do the same thing here, and it might not work out quite so well. Bonimo may decide to get after it too in the small blind.
He shows the 3 of hearts to the chip leader just on his head. I mean, just absolutely just, and then
they're having too much fun here.
They are having a good time. And Juan is also thinking about getting on the action, but like at some point, he's just going to have a hand, right? Like here, like he's gotten played back at every time. He never has it. And then now he does. And he's got to be a little worried here too, right? Like 10s are a good hand, but you are going to be flipping or crush sometimes. But I think this is enough is enough. He could just call. Nope, not easy game. Not easy game. Not going to do that. He does rip it in, and he does pick up a nice pop, 5.8 million. And yeah, Juan Pardo Dominguez has chipped up, but got a little out of line there. Although, as you mentioned, a pretty reasonable 3-bet hand, especially against a chip leader and a guy that's opening Jack-9 off in pretty much every hand that he can.
And to be fair, he has folded a decent amount of the time when he gets 3-bet. So I think it's probably good to 3-bet easy game a decent amount and Barack a decent amount because they don't seem so inclined just to load the money in for a 4-bet. They've been pretty reasonable against 3-bet so far. Now, it's tough to know, will they just get annoyed and frustrated and shove it in with the ace-3 offsuit? If they will, obviously that's terrible for you. But so far, they have not done that. It's tough to know if your opponent will just randomly go nuts because they will at some point, quite often, but you don't necessarily know that. And I think a lot of people get it in their head that my opponent's just going to go nuts on me because they clearly folded 7 times in a row. They're not going to fold the 8th. But to be fair, they folded 7 times in a row, so they're probably going to fold the 8th if they have nothing. So, Wolu, yuck, what a nasty spot. I have no clue what you're supposed to do here. Maybe call, maybe just rip it. Big shove, though.
Wow.
It's so rough when you 3-bet small and get jammed. But like right there, the 10-4 suited, right? That's the spot where some people think, oh, they're definitely going to bluff me. But no, they're just going to fold. That said, if you get jammed there, it's a rough one if you get jammed. I mean, so the thing is, if you're going to be 3-betting non-all in, you really want to block whatever their shoving range is, which is going to be an ace or a king, right? So you don't really want to be 3-betting small with hands like small pair. You'd much rather call or shove. But you're going to usually find those are not especially good small 3-bet hands. But there are scenarios where you should just 3-bet everything you're going to play. And I don't know if that's it, but maybe.
All right, ace-10 suited, going to pop it up. No contest from One, no contest, no contest, none of it. He's just going to pick it up. And Wulu at 3 million all of a sudden. He's played an impressive game today. He's taken some chances as well, and certainly going to open the ace five suited. And now easy game. There's a little bit of a meta game going here right now. It's sort of like he's flatted some, he's been three betting some, he calls, and now they're going to see a flop. He is in a decent position here, although I guess going, fives, it's sort of hard to win this pot, where future me likely going to close the action here. Although, does he ever decide to rip it, thinking that easy game would three bet, kind of knowing how he plays? He has a decision, but ace five going to flop everyone dead. Literally, I think, right? There's no runner for king nine. There's no runner.
Spade.
Spade would be eight. Okay.
Oh, halfway there.
Halfway there is right. Future me, no interest in this pot. Wulu all of a sudden.
Wulu's hand just got way worse, to be fair.
Yep.
It was basically the nuts on the flop. Now it's just okay. Yeah, that's probably going to clean up the equity, though. So that's good.
Yeah. If you're easy game, you got the spade. You could be drawn super thin or dead even. So yeah, gets out of the way. Wulu going to pick it up. Nice outcome there. Easy game easy game still hovering 5.5 million. He's got the chip lead. Barack was up to 4 and change, is down. And as we mentioned, there's really 4 stacks now about equal, and Wulu has separated himself into that tied for second position. So we are getting moving, getting going. We are going to welcome you guys to hit that thumbs up. Appreciate 1,400 watching right now. If you guys want to retweet Jonathan's tweet or my tweet, also, we appreciate that. And we will have a $50 or $100 giveaway, at least a 50 coming your way. You guys have one part of the Mingus, Bonomo, and easy game for the bonus 50. And we are going to do that giveaway.
And if Juan wins, Jeff is going to buy everyone here dinner. All you have to do is go up to him, wherever you see him, say, hey, it's dinner time. And as soon as he can take you, he has to take you. And I will pay for half of it.
If you do see me in person and you're in the stream and you reference a free dinner, if Juan, I would honor that, sure. But I might not be able to join you depending if I'm playing or busy. But I'll credit you at least a taco stand dinner, and if I'm free, I'd love to join you. What up, Burnsy? Matt Burns in the chat. What's up, bro? Good to see you. Hope you're doing well. Hope the family's well. A lot of familiar faces, a lot of new faces. Love being here with you guys. Such a friendly audience, and we do get to see some high quality poker each week here on Tuesday. Jonathan Little. I have a very special guest. Every week's very special. I say that for sure because it's true. I get to handpick the guests, and John, do appreciate the time coming on. But next week I have an unknown, a guy that is. I don't know if you would have played with him or know him. Probably not. I don't want to say who it is yet, but it's going to be interesting because it's not a household. It's not a poker name. Like you're not going to know who it is, but we're going off the cusp next week, and he's an amateur. We'll say that. So let's see. We're not going to get as much color analysis, but it'll be fun, John. Sometimes you got to mix it up, right? You got to go off we can't always just have the world-class crushers in. We got to mix up some of the guys that are, up and coming, let's say, even though he's older, he's like 50-year-old guy, but he's funny, he's fun, loves poker, and he'll be joining the stream. So that's all.
There you go. And then the next week, you can pick somebody out of the Twitch chat or the YouTube chat or wherever we're streaming here and have them on. No, don't do that. No, I was processing it. You're thinking, how would this possibly go? Yeah. Shout out to the chat. We love all of you saying how I talk too much, and Jeff looks a lot younger than he did last week. Such is life. I can guarantee you all, Jeff has said at least twice as many words as I have on the stream. Okay. I do. Listen. It's the Twitch. A lot of streaming Twitch days. A lot of talking for sure. I do. It is nice when you have company and have help. I will say that is always enjoyable, especially when someone knows the game so well as yourself. And here, easy game may just step right into it. This is just calls, so maybe gonna get. I thought he was gonna step right into it as well. I mean, the ace X is a pretty reasonable hand to shove. That said, Zombie Chow's been pretty reasonable, right? So when your opponent has been pretty reasonable, you should be way more cautious than if your opponent's not reasonable. Rough flop for the ace 8 with the heart. I mean, you're probably supposed to fold, but I could see easy game sticking around. Easy game does stick around, picks up exactly what they don't want to pick up. For zombie chow, do we just check? I think check's pretty good. Because you're not worried about it getting outdrawn, right? Typically, you want to be betting in the spot more often whenever you really don't want a heart to come on the river. But if you don't care if a heart comes on the river, then you should be a little bit more inclined to check. Give your opponent every opportunity to bluff. This easy game does not bluff, though. I mean, I would just shove the river, hope he finds a call. But checking's pretty nice, too, if you think he's going to feel inclined to bluff with a bunch of nonsense. So, look, typically, I think you do want to check to the big stack more on the river in spots like this, because if they have nothing, they're going to try to go for it some portion of the time.
It's true. Yeah, I mean, that could easily got in there. He could have ripped that in pre-flop in that situation. Although I think that's a little bit of a function of Zombie Chow, how they've been playing. I think she kind of realized that that wasn't a, he's not just going to have airball there most of the time. So, and a nice spot for easy game here with the ace king offsuit and this stack size. I think just shove. Definitely could 3-bet, but I think with the stack size of future of me, it might be more inclined to just rip it. But ace king suited, I think I would 3-bet ace king off shove, but I don't think it matters that much here.
Out of position with ace king with 20 big blinds effective, you almost always just want to shove in general, especially if you want to have any other shoving hands. Ace king suited, like you said, is a good one to 3-bet small because it flops a little bit better. As your hand flops better, you typically want to be 3-betting small, and as it flops a little bit worse, but still has good value, you want to be more inclined to shove.
Yeah, so she referencing Winter Wonderland. I don't think it's snowing at the moment. I am where it is snow. There's snow on the ground, but wow, here it is. Ace king, ace queen suited, huge pot, 3.5 in the middle, and there's that queen of the heart. Very spicy. Going to the river. Slow peel, please, dealer. Drum roll. Is it red? Is it big? No, it is not. It is future me who is going to take a massive pot, and that is going to redistribute some wealth at this final table as we see 3.5, 3 million, 3.1, and Bonomo just licking his chops, 2 million. But look at this. We've got 4 3 million stacks, Jonathan. I hope you don't have dinner plans. This one might go a while. The stacks are balanced. People are in there. People are having a good time. People are having fun. And we are in for a battle today. This is no one guaranteed to win. Easy game. That was is that good for? Well, I'm trying to think. Who do I have? I have Bonomo, Zombie Chow, and that's not it, is it? That can't be it.
That's it. That's
not all, right? That's really not all we have. All right.
So far, you picked 8th and 9th successfully. Good job. So I think that's probably good for my bet in theory. I don't mind it. I don't mind future me getting some chips. I don't mind it. Notice Zombie Child just doesn't load it in with the king queen there. A little bit cautious.
Yeah, I like Zombie Child's game. I mean, got unlucky obviously early, but in terms of winning with this stack in this situation, I think it's going to be a tall order on their style of play. And I got my eggs in basket with Justin over here, I think. And Zombie, I think Zombie's executing a well-oiled game plan today, but it's a tall order right now with all the
Zombies. Zombies playing a great game to take second or third place,
right?
Which is what you should be doing when you have no chips. You should be doing your best to just not go broke, especially if your other opponents are ramming and jamming. I mean, we have Barack opening a ton, easy game opening a ton. Future me not afraid. I mean, we got players who are clearly not afraid, and if that's the case, you just want to sit back because if you get 2 or 3 free payout jumps, then you can get in there and battle a little hard, and maybe you win a flip or 2, and then you win from there.
Yeah, I got to shout out my boy Matt in the chat. What's up, man? Good to see you. Hope you're enjoying. A lot of familiar faces. A lot of great poker players in the chat. The quality of poker player these days has gotten a lot higher. I would say a function of training courses such as Jonathan's pokercoaching.com. Give him a nice shout out. I know I've been on the site and checked it out. Of course, Ben Raleigh has his course as well. Raise your edge. There's a lot of good material out there, Jonathan. I think it's nice to see so many people, so many different curriculums, so many different methods of teaching. And I think that it is true that the quality of player has gotten a lot better even at the beginner levels. They're just simple things such as understanding where to open what hands from and sort of these type of hand rankings makes a big difference. Would you agree? Would you say in the last 2-3 years, even it's been a significant difference?
Yeah. I mean, as you learn even the basics, it's going to help you a lot. And a lot of players don't even know the basics. And I mean, I made a free course. It's at pokercoaching.com/fundamentals. Costs you $0. It will get you up to speed so that you know everything that Jeff is saying whenever he's sitting here commentating at a high level, right? And so that you understand why people want to be raising specific hands and not playing specific hands. And You learn about pot odds. Just you learn the fundamentals. And from there, you can make good use of all the other training content you'll find all over the internet because you'll be at least decent. I mean, I recommend that to anybody who wants to play with their friends and wants to be better with their friends. And if you study for just 2 or 3 or 4 hours and your friends have not, you're going to be a lot better than them at poker. So get it at pokercoaching.com/fundamentals.
Is this our shove here from Bonomo? Is this it? Is this just too good versus Juan, who's min raising his stack? He's got kind of the lowest stack. He could be opening wide. We do see the 3-bet, interesting, and just a quick pickup from Bonomo. And the site you just mentioned, my guest next week may or may not be in the chat watching right now. I don't want to confirm or deny, but maybe you might want to check that out yourself to get brushed up on some of the fundamentals, because we got a rogue one coming in next week. We got one coming in for some. So it's gonna be fun. I'm looking forward to it. But yeah, we've got a fun final table still here to go today. And man, easy game. It's definitely not been that for him today. It has been adversity. He's lost a little over half his stack, and he's fighting. I mean, he's got a very critical time in the tournament right now, Jonathan. I mean, he's in middle of the pack, kind of like middle upper of the pack, I guess. But you know, it's to be such a chip leader with 7 left right now, and to be in jeopardy to not get like a top 3 or 4 stack. It's, as you know, there's no guarantees. We've all been there, but it's just
rough.
Fun.
I mean, at the top of the show, I said I had half the chips 10-handed once at a WPT, and I took 7th place. I doubled up every single person at the table, some multiple times. I remember my bust out hand. I got in with queens against queen 8 suited, and he flopped a straight flush. It's like, oh, great. I guess I lose. It was a lot of fun. It happens. Sometimes you just lose every hand. And so far, Easy Game has gotten it in and lost literally every hand. I mean, just had ace king against ace queen, and he lost, right? So,
yep, that's true. Yeah, future me gonna be betting into top and bottom the missionary, and he is got a interesting hand here, Jonathan. He's got potential, but he's probably gonna get check raise, very draw heavy board, I would bet, for that sizing. Just call though from Juan. Wow, interesting there. A little surprised.
This is a spot where Juan really doesn't have a whole lot of hands that want to check raise, I don't think. It's one of these weird spots where if your range has almost nothing that actually wants to check raise, because you don't really have a ton of ace jack or aces or queens. I'm sorry, aces or jacks or nines. You have ace 9 and you have a jack 9, but that's it. If you don't have a whole lot of hands that want to check raise for value, you may just want to have no check raises at all. I don't know. I would have check raised it, but I get the logic of not check raising it because you don't want to check raise anything. But this board's super dynamic, super draw heavy, right? And on these draw heavy boards from out of position, you almost always want to raise your hands that are almost always good now, but very vulnerable to being outdrawn, like Future of Me just did.
Yeah, the hard way. Had open-ended, had a lot of clean nutting turn cards. He didn't get it, but he did run off the queen high flush second nuts, and obviously going to feel pretty confident here that his hand is good. There's not too many king X of heart that, like a king on the flop that calls, I guess, maybe king 10 off or something, but either way, he's got the second nuts, and he is going to go for the jugular here.
It's the third nuts.
Sorry. You're right. 4 deuce.
We got to be like a YouTube Twitch commenter, you know, third nuts, not second nuts. How could you not read the board? You're the commentator.
That's true.
Come on, everybody.
Let me off.
Come on, everybody.
Let me off on that one. But yeah, I guess 4-2 of hearts, you know, he could have defended.
It's actually reasonable. It's actually reasonable.
Yeah. Call one, hit the low flush, and then decide to just call. But Juan is thinking, what went wrong? Could I have the best hand? Is he just taking a go here with, like, you know, do I beat hands? Does he have the just king of hearts, king X, like queen, king off with the king of hearts? Something like that. I mean,
but you lose to that. That's the problem, right? You lose to almost everything here.
Right.
I mean, what are you beating? You're beating like pocket 10s with no heart or something.
That's what I'm saying on the turn, like thinking like, okay, I'll let my opponent continue to bet and just call. But now, yeah, there's hard to find a hand that he beats.
Yeah. And also you're facing a big bet, right? As you're facing bigger bets, you should be more inclined to fold out more. I get, though, the idea that my opponent bet big, so he's trying to get me to fold, which could be true. Problem is, it's so easy to have a king or a queen of hearts here. It's so easy. Even the logical bluffs, like king, queen with a heart, got there, right? So you just got to fold. It's annoying, but you got to fold.
Yeah, it's also there's other training school of thought where it's like, hey, I flop 2 pair. Like your point, maybe there's not a lot of check raises here, so I'm just going to call and close my eyes. But the hard heart is one you could find you definitely, that's one of those runouts where you could just change that game plan.
Also, though, you have to realize in your range, you're going to have King of Hearts Jack, Queen of Hearts Jack, King of Hearts 9, Queen of Hearts 9, right? Like you're going to have a lot of those random kings and queens in your hand. So if you have some combinations of those in your range, you don't have to call off with stuff that just got way worse on the river.
All right, he does make the fold. Blinds are up 50, 100K. Bonomo under the gun there folds 2 million chip stack. As we mentioned, the number one, he's either number one or two. They flip flop with Brandon. They're at the top alone in earnings. So yeah, we'll just call it number one for just a little more spice. They're basically tied for the number one all-time money list. Some insane number. Doesn't play a ton on here, but we have seen him at some final tables. He does have one title, if I wasn't mistaken. Does he have a title? Does he have one?
I think you said yes earlier. I do not know, but I think you said yes earlier.
Take a peek at
it. Looks like yes, one win at some point in season 1.
Yes, you're right. One win, season 1. The only other winners here are Future of Me has a season.
We might have a call right here. This is going to be I think it's a pretty reasonable call spot facing a 10 big blind shove. You're going to be fair flipping a lot, but what can you do? You got the ace. Ace is pretty powerful. Obviously, if there were no payout implications, this would be a super duper easy call. But here, Future Me wants to ask, if I call and lose, am I still fine? And the answer is yes. So I think that makes this very close to a call.
Wow.
But he folds.
He does have the chip lead right now, and it is relevant. And just that shows the power of now, the power of first in, right? That was a big fold. We saw Bonomo force the fold with 8s when he had 9s. Here we see a slightly better hand folding. And Future of Me, that's a curious one. That is definitely very close, right? I get it. I see why. I think that's sort of the logic. He's like, look, I might have the best hand, but I'm not really dominating anything. Hand even such as that, is it really worth to put myself down to like about 3 million, where I do have the 4.2. I got the lead currently and can maybe pick up pots uncontested and use my stack a little more. So that's a curious one, worth noting at home.
I will say that Future of Me is a very accomplished player, plays a lot here in these big games. And I think if Future of Me loses down to 3 million, even though he's now quote unquote tied with the other 3 big stacks, I think Future of Me is going to do perfectly fine in that spot. So even though you're not the chip leader, the official chip leader anymore, you can still probably approach the spot like it's chip leader. And I don't think it matters how much if you have 4 or 3 when you are presumably equally good or better than your opponents in these spots. Although maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. Clearly Future Me, world-class player, thought they should fold. So I'm going to err towards what they thought. But I would have found the gamble call there. But maybe that's no good. Yeah, nothing wrong with being a little bit cautious.
Yeah, very interesting, these spots, right? Where it's like, it may seem like a trivial call. I got the ace 4, but yeah, looking at sort of the future game and just what the pros and cons of winning that pot are, decided to fold there. So I think you would have seen ace 7 or 8 definitely call.
Well, because then you're dominating more, right?
Yep.
As you dominate more obvious shoves, you should be way more inclined to call. And the problem is ace 4 doesn't dominate much.
Wow, look at this river. I mean, granted, Bonomo was drawing dead. He didn't know it. But now if you're one, it's like the heart gets there, but you make the boat. Heart is a likely hand that your opponent could call twice here with, maybe queen 10, some type of, maybe you would have shoved that pre. But yeah, this is a dirty spot for Bonomo.
This is another one where I think the play is going to be to fold to a shove. It's one of these another annoying spots. I mean, you have the 9 of hearts, which kind of matters. You have the king, which blocks a few super nuts, but at the same time, it's so easy to have an ace, and an ace will still shove the river. Oh, I'm sorry. He's getting really good pot odds. I didn't realize he was getting such good pot odds. Ugh, that makes it way worse. I thought it would be Bonomo all in. If it was Bonomo all in, I think you got to fold. Here he's only facing a 4th pot bet, or a half pot bet. They only need to be good roughly a 4th of the time if there are no payout implications. Maybe it's more like a 1/3 of the time or something with payout implications. 30%, who knows what the real number is. That makes it way closer. Seems like an optimistic bluff, but I don't know.
Gets paid off.
He does find the call, and I certainly can't fault him for a call. They're getting really good pot odds. I mean, look, a lot of people don't realize that pot odds exist. Pot odds exist, and Sometimes you only need to be good 30-ish% of the time, and it's not all that hard to be good 30-ish% of the time when you have very good blockers and your opponent's good and competent enough to bluff.
Well, Bonomo's going to be all in here and going to need to find what Barack found earlier, the ace-5 off the king scenario. This time reverse rolls, but ace here, shortest stack, shoves it in, going to get snapped off. 1.6 in the middle. Bonomo needs to find a wheel, some hearts, a 5.
All right.
So a little something, little everything.
Wheel and hearts.
Well, yeah, backdoor now is just in trouble. And it's not, I don't think it is not it. It is good games around, goodbye and good game, and Justin Bonomo will be out in 7th. That took a while. We're down to 6. Look at that, 2.7 million, 1.3. But go ahead and Google that name. You will see something. It won't be hard to go look at the Hen and Mob because he's at the top of the tower in the all-time money list earner. And Bonomo will add to his resume and another final table, another score just shy of that 6-figure score. 6 players remain all guaranteed at least $100,000. Of course, this is a 10K buy-in. Some players in for multiple re-entries, but probably not many in for 10. So everyone here hopefully profitable. We have seen some pretty big entries where people do enter a lot of times. As it stands, easy game. Was your chip leader? He is now hanging out, kind of middle-ish. I guess technically even he's in the middle, right? We got
maybe fourth, literal
yeah.
fourth.
Fourth
Tough
place.
game.
Gonna get some jacks and gonna find a spot here to pick up some chips. As see an open ace-9 off jacks. Surely gonna be taking it upstairs. And Zombie Chow is our short stack. He did have again that unlucky run out earlier with kings, but he's hanging in there. As we said, executing a pretty good game plan. Down to 6. Not really been too out of line or too crazy, but he is still in the game. And
this is probably a spot where you want to shove the jacks, I would think, for 30 big blinds over a raise, because you really don't want to get jammed on. It's pretty rough if you get jammed on there with Zombie Chow having only 11 big blinds. And you got to realize, like, when you get it in and your opponent has 35 or 40% equity on average, you don't love it. Like, you'd be unhappy to get it in 60-40 in that spot because Zombie Chow's so short and there are big payout implications. Look like one might be going home right now. This is a spot where Wool is probably going to be slightly looser than normal. So if anything, you should be more inclined to be aggressive than normal. You might just call, though. We'll see.
We saw him just fold 7s when it was first to act in a much different situation, but there it is, a misstep, if you will. Can't blame him, but he does step right into it. Aces, he's going to need to find another 2 outer. They say it comes a lot here, but runner, the 7 is going to need a new board because that is going to do it. That is not enough. And aces full on the river. My man is running hot, and that is correct. That is confirmed running hot. That is a Juan Pardo Dominguez had quite a run and spun it up, but then ultimately stepped into it there. And we will see down to 5, just like that, losing a couple players quickly. 5 left. Does Wulu now? Is this his time to? Oh my! Hey, John, you're supposed to give those back. You're supposed to give those back. He didn't. He is feeling it. Is it? Could it be this good? Could he really do it? Is he just going to get to win with them both times? Is it possible? WAP? Nope. Is it paint? Is it something? It's not. It's the Wulu Lulu show. It is going up, man. Everyone, golfer claps all around. We're down to 4. We better cue this giveaway here soon in a second, guys. I'm gonna get this organized because I like to do this around this time of the show. We're gonna give a $50 or $100 ticket. Who do they have still? Do they have any? They got a shot at easy game, and that's it. Is that their only bonus for the 100?
All I know is that you have no one.
I'm out. I lost the dinner.
You successfully picked number 9 or 8, 9th, 8th, 7th, not 6. You faded 6th, but then 5th.
Wow.
Okay.
All right, guys. So here's the giveaway. It is going to be GG, John, and then Jen. Put in your GG username afterwards. So GG space John, and then type in your username. We will pick a winner.
How do you spell John?
Jon. We're doing. Is that okay? Or
that's fine with me.
It's Jonathan's little. Your GG username after John. Okay, for a $50.
Everyone in the chat's typing GG space John with no username. Come on, everybody. Come on, everybody. Come on, everybody. Do you want to win or do you not want to win?
Enter your GG username. I spelled username wrong after I'm doing my phone and mobile. We're on a mobile setup here. This isn't the normal studio, guys. Bear with me, but we are trying to give away 50. I'm going to throw up another player. Who do you choose, Future or Barack? Who do you want for a bonus? I want them to have a little more shot right now. I'll give them one more guy for $100 ticket.
You're asking me?
You can pick one of the two.
I want them to win. So I'm going to give them Future of Me. I like the way Future of Me is playing.
You guys got Future of Me as well, and you got to hit the thumbs up button. That's we got 74 thumbs up, guys. That's weak. 1.4 on. I'm math wise. What's that? 5%? I mean, come on. Guys.
You all hate this show. Why do you hate this show so much? I mean, if I knew you all didn't want us to be here, I would have just not been here. I already won my bet. I can leave whenever I want.
We need energy. We need to get some thumbs up. That's part of the giveaway. Also, you got to hit the thumbs up and type that in. So GG Space John, and then type in your username, and we are going to go ahead and figure out if it's a 50 or 100. You guys have a shot. Future Me in the easy game. If they win, it's 100. If the other two players, Barack or Wulu, win, it'll be 50. But either way, 50 or 100. And hit that thumbs up if you enjoy the show. If you enjoy the color purple of the final table, if you like what you're seeing, if you like snow in the background, if you like Jonathan's commentary, if you just like being here, hit that thumbs up. We do appreciate it. Let us know where you're watching from. And thank you so much for being here, guys. Again, every Tuesday, 1:45 p.m. Eastern will be the kickoff. And I will be back with you next week from the proper headquarters. We had a little technical difficulty today, John, before the show. I don't know what's going on. Something wasn't working, so I apologize for that. You're supposed to have a little break there, but we basically took the whole time troubleshooting. So
such is life. I'll tell everyone here what I tell my Twitch followers, my YouTube followers. If you don't like it, leave. But if you're here, enjoy yourself, have fun, get engaged, and let's all have a good time together. Be like Wulu here, putting in the 3-bet, applying the aggression, and scooping the pot. Where are you, Siberia? Or do you not want out where you are?
I am in Colorado.
Mountain, a foot of snow behind you. Congratulations. Have fun.
Where do you see that? Is it really? That's
it's out the window. That window, it looks very snowy. Is that not snowy?
It is, but I don't know. I'm trying to see where you're like. Where is it?
Maybe it's the sun. Maybe the sun's hitting.
No, there is a lot of snow there, but it's like reflecting.
Maybe there's less snow than it looks like.
Yeah, I think it. Okay, yeah, I think it's like reflecting off the window to another part, because right out where I don't see snow, but I see 3 pairs here, and we could see Barack getting it in. Easy game might be in Barney Rumble here, 3.4 million. Although they're deep enough, maybe a flat.
Take a look at Wulu though. Wulu has all the chips. Wulu might flat call here. And now I think this is actually a pretty decent shove spot for easy. Against the initial raise, I probably would have flatted, but once somebody flats in the middle, you win way more money when they fold. And if there's ever a spot for Wulu to get kind of splashy and call, this may be it with marginal stuff. But easy game does not load the money in. Good job, good work. Octadoc just finished one of my books, Secrets of Professional Tournament Poker. Good job, good work. Hope you learned a lot.
How many books have you written, John?
I lose count eventually. You see all those books back there? I either wrote or helped write all those books. So I don't know, 15 that I did myself, and then 5 or 10 more with other people.
It's a lot of books. I'd say you've written. My guest next week is a lot of fun. Has not written any books, but he will be a good guest. And you guys, we listen. Just I gotta tell you, you want to tune in next week because it'll be fun. It's going to be a little different than the normal guests we've had. I'll leave it at that. I think you're going to want to set your alarms for sure. Barack here on the 10-5-4. Got to be a little concerned about the big blind. There could be some hands that, I guess no, it's a small blind flatting, but yes, sets. Other than sets, right? You don't have a club, and you're sitting pretty good. And he does go ahead and win a nice pot, nice executed hand. And here he goes. He is up to 4.5 million, and we are 4-handed, and we got a giveaway in the works. I do hope you guys hit that thumbs up. I appreciate it.
Notice that check raise on the flop. That's the spot where a lot of people continuation bet too often on the 10XX boards, out of position, 3 ways. You should be doing a ton of checking, looking to check raise. A lot of people do not do that. They just bet. You have to realize when you bet, you make it kind of easy for your opponents just to call with all sorts of stuff and continue. But when you check raise, you force them off of a lot of equity. And, when you do get your money in, you're fine enough. You don't love it, but you're fine enough.
All right, well, easy game gets snap called here. Quick check from Wulu. Easy game has a bit of a decision. Beats King Jack, beats Jack 9. Does beat some hands here. And no heart, no extra equity on the turn. Queen pairs. Does he want to bet small here? maybe just decide, or when it goes big, then you could bet kind of smallish if your opponent doesn't have a queen. Put some pressure on the 10, I guess, but I don't know if a 10 would fold. And nice pot, 3.5. You see the break. I'm going to skip through that. Zombie Chow out in fifth for 137. Everyone guaranteed 173. Of course, 363. Eyes on that, as that is it's a nice ROI. It's a nice return from a 10K buy-in. And here we go. King 10, Queen 10 suited. Easy game. Gonna be playing, and neither player gonna hit this board. Both backdoor flush draws, 2 overs though.
Also said he won $43,000 after joining poker coaching. Good job, good work. We have study sessions that take place basically every day now, where the students are grinding it out. A lot of them on GG. Every day they email me all their successes. And every day people are winning loads of money in small and medium stakes and some high stakes games. That's good to see. Good to see if you work hard, that poker is, even today, a very beatable game if you really devote yourself to it. You got to devote yourself to it, though. You can't just, sit back, have a beer, watch some people stream a final table. You actually have to work hard and study. Figure out why the best players are doing what they are doing. Not just observing what they're doing, right? So if any of these spots where some of these great players made a particular play, and you think, that's bad, realize it's probably not. Quite often, the best players are making plays because they are the best play. Like, for example, that ace-4 earlier that, who folded it? Somebody folded it. Future folded it, I think. Yeah, Future folded the ace-4. That's a spot where I probably would have called, but I'm going to look it up as soon as we're done here to see if I would have made a mistake, right? If you consistently study these spots, it's going to go a long way to making you a lot better at poker. You think ace-king has an advantage over pocket queens? No? I mean, I don't know. Depends on what you mean by an advantage.
Right.
You can run equities and see that ace-king loses to pocket queens, but that doesn't really matter that much. They're both good, and you're going to get your money in with both of them, so it doesn't matter so much. A lot of people ask questions, something along the lines of, like, what are the odds of this hand against this hand? Or should you be playing in 2 spots that are both obviously very good, right? Like, you don't go around folding flush draws. You don't go around folding straight draws on the flop against any reasonable bet. Yeah, the flush draw is a little bit better than the straight draw, but you're not folding either of them, right? So realize there are a lot of spots in poker that should be kind of automatic. Of course, there's plenty of room for creativity and mixing it up and varying your play. But like, somebody raises, are you folding the queens? No. Are you folding ace king? No. You're loading your money in with both of them, and you're gonna be happy with it. Does my wife play poker? A little bit. My wife plays a little bit. My wife has won a charity tournament. She's been on TV once for final tabling a charity tournament, but no, she does not play. She medium plays.
She knows she can, you can vent, or she can understand. She knows a little bit about like ace king to jacks, and she knows like what's good hands and stuff. She can play a bit.
Funny enough, I don't actually talk to my wife about poker at all because my wife doesn't really travel with me around the poker circuit. So if I like bust a tournament, she's not the person I talk to. And whenever I'm home, I don't really play a lot of poker. And if I do, it's like a bunch of tables online and all the hands bleed together anyway, and I don't really care what happens because it's not that significant of stakes for me. I'm not playing the $10,000 tournament every week online. So I don't really talk to my wife about poker, which is
that's probably for the best. Probably for the best, right? In general. Same with me. Look, my wife's results oriented. She doesn't care kings to ace 5. That doesn't matter. She just wants to know, did we win or lose? And she's results oriented. That's not how you're supposed to be, but I get it. I don't blame her. That's the end of the day. When you're not deep dive into the game, that's what matters, right? You want to, they just want to know, is it, how's it going? Are we winning or losing? And they don't really care how that shakes out, which is, I respect that. I know I have friends that have relationships that are both into poker, or, they talk poker, and that can be a dangerous road to go down too, right? Start talking. I think that's the best way to separate that. So you might be onto something there. And we are seeing Queen 8 go ahead and get spicy as it gets. A huge shot taken with the gut shot and 1 over, and does pick it up. Very, very nice hand there for easy game.
That's a good hand to bluff.
Yes.
Early easy game took the 10-3 offsuit and ran the bluff. I did not like that bluff, but I like that Queen 8 bluff a lot because they have an overcard, they have a gut shot, they have no showdown value. Like, that's a good time to be running a bluff.
All right, King Queen could have got aggressive, does not. 9's going to be still in the lead. Ace 7 6 2 clubs. Both players have a club. Barack has options here. Could go small. I think that's the most standard line. Now, King of clubs definitely going to be interested. Could just have the best hand already. calls, board pair, 936 in the middle. Not a particularly great card for well, easy game could lead there. Sometimes you see the board pair player lead out of the turn, but on this particular board out of position, this dynamic four-handed chip's very valuable. Not getting too creative or too out of line here. It's still the shortest stack, but 936 in the middle.
The king high is probably not a particularly good hard card or good hand to lead either, because king high wins in the showdown sometimes. Exactly. You'd rather lead jack high, 10 high, 9 high, stuff that cannot win in the showdown.
Yep. Barack happy to win that 5 mil, basically tied for the chip lead. We kind of have two tiers here, right? We got the Wooloo 5.7, Barack just under 5, and then we got the Future of Me and Easy Game sort of in that mid 3 range. So let's see if this will emerge with these places sort of finishing, but a lot of poker left. We've seen some chip lead changes here. Easy Game again doing well to make it to the end after how he kind of started four-handed. He also lost ace king to ace queen suited. We've referenced that, so could have gone much differently for him, but still in there hanging out and sitting okay. So let's see what he does down the stretch. Who do you have a pick right now, Jonathan? Like, forget that you've already won the dinner. Do you have anyone that you kind of stands out to you in this four-handed who you think emerges?
You always pick the chip leader, of course, for the most part, when they have a lot of chips more than anybody else. I still like the way Future Me's playing this final table the best personally, but Wooloo's getting after it. I like the way Wooloo's playing it as well. Wooloo's given himself a great chance to get chips and win the tournament. So, I mean, I don't know. I guess I'd pick Wooloo because of chips. If they're all the same chips, I'd still probably go Future of Me. But I like the way Wooloo's playing this. To be fair, it's not like Easy Game's anything too absurd besides that 10-3 bluff. It's just lost every hand. I mean, sometimes you lose every hand, right? We have a question. What's it like to be a live circuit grinder? Want me to talk about that? I would recommend you figure out what you want to accomplish from being a live circuit grinder. I think a lot of people decide I'm going to go start playing a bunch of live tournaments, and then inevitably they just play poker all day, every day, and they lose their minds. And you don't want to do that. You want to make sure you have some balance, because it's easy to get way out of balance in a casino where you don't have to stay in good physical shape. You don't have to eat right. You don't have to go outside. I recommend you try to live a somewhat normal life. Also figure out what the most high value things for you to do are. So we have a full house for Future of Me. Let's Wooloo turn a pair. Probably not going to be good enough to put in all that much money. So you have to ask, like, if I play tournaments, the best river for Future of Me, because now Wooloo has something, right? I like a big bet here. It's a spot where if they have a king or an 8, they're always going to call. And if they have nothing, they're always going to fold, right? So you might as well go big and just get a lot of value from king or 8.
Might go like 700. Yeah, 800. Could be the overbet, first overbet of the day.
I like it.
But you also just want to make sure you get called by the 8 and you have the king. So I don't know. You could argue half pot, but I think he's going to go bigger.
I just don't see an 8 folding, given queen, jack, jack 10, all the gut shots missed and a flush draw missed, right? Those are all hands that certainly could be there. So I think this is a fine spot to go for a pretty big bet, because I don't think king or 8's folding. If you think an 8's going to fold to a pot size bet, then yeah, definitely don't pot it. But I think an 8 just has to call. Fold? Wow. That's nitty. All right. All right. That's a heck of a fold. I would have never folded there. But again, like, that's the spot where I'm going to go look up later whenever I am done with this and see, are we supposed to fold that 8-7? Some things you think, no way in the world, but you could just be wrong. And that's when you really level up. When you think there's no way you should make a play, but it turns out it's actually a pretty good play, then you learn a lot. But yeah, you want to make sure you figure out what the point of your live poker play is. Are you just trying to make as much money as possible? Are you trying to win some tournament, circuit, or series? Like, what are you really trying to accomplish? Because a lot of people don't really have a clear goal, and that results in them making mistakes. But if your goal is to make money, you should probably just sit down and play cash games, honestly, because you can make a lot of money playing cash games. You can grind out $50 an hour at 2-5 no limit. And you can sit there for 16 hours a day. You can do the math. That's $800 a day. $24,000 a month, grinding 2-5 if you actually care about making money. I used to sit at Bellagio and I would play 5, 10, and 10, 20 all day, every day. I grind out about $40,000 a month. It was a grind. It was not especially mentally stimulating. I was not balanced at all, but my only goal for about a year was to get a hold of a bunch of money. And I did. But most people don't necessarily want to do that, right? They don't actually do the work required to achieve whatever goal they're trying to accomplish. If your goal is to win some World Series of Poker circuit event or something, I don't know, pick any goal. If your goal is to win that, then only play those games or really prioritize those games. We need to figure out what you're actually trying to accomplish at the end of the day, and then set yourself up to have success in that thing.
For sure. And here, I'll tell you what, Brock has got a decent situation going. He has a double, or he's open-ended with the five deuce. The ace would have been the money card for him, but as it turns out, he does even turn a pair, which is good. So now he's got a pair, he's got open-ended still, and he is going to bet. And ace jack, not a great turn for you, right? All the stuff that kind of in that middle sort of fills in for something. But you do beat hands. You do beat some hands that are some Broadway, just some random bluffs. Does not continue. Good fold. Releasing would have been in a lot of trouble there. As it turns out, look at this. No one with above an 8 there. Absolute garbage for hands. We've seen aces spread out a few times.
Man of Straw wants to know, how do you run like Rampage Poker? Funny enough, we just released a course on pokercoaching.com where Brock Wilson started teaching Rampage Poker, because Rampage Poker was having a tough go at it for a while. He wasn't running us out like Rampage. So Brock Wilson, world-class tournament player, started teaching Rampage how to play tournaments. And they recorded their sessions for all the students, all of you, to watch. And after the first session, Rampage won a $10,000 buy-in tournament. And he made a bunch of plays at the final table that he later said he would not have made if he did not study those spots with Brock in that very first session. And that's kind of cool to see that he's already learning these spots where you need to be shoving a ton of hands. At the final table, he was the chip leader, and there were a lot of spots where he just ripped it in for 15 or 20 big blinds when they folded it to him, whereas normally he would raise small and then get jammed on it and have to fold. And important to study and important to improve your skills. So yeah, obviously, Rampage is the luckiest player on the internet, but at the same time, he's leveling up his skills, which is exactly what you should be doing, especially if you are blessed with good fortune to also be lucky.
That's a dangerous combo. Informed and lucky. That's a good way to win some money in poker. Well, here we see Queen 3 limp in and King Jack limp behind. Queen 3 suited, got the back door straight and flush, going to take a shot. King Jack certainly not folding as played to just check back in the big blind. The queen does strike easy, and sure enough, this is funny how poker works sometimes. Bet with nothing, check with something. Has the queen, and now he's checking. And King Jack still, decides, okay, could have the best hand, don't want to get blown off. Maybe their hands that are check calling, I'll just check. And King Jack high on the river, and Queen 3. Let's see, 540 in the middle, maybe a smallish bet.
Yeah, either bet tiny or check, one of the two. I think this is probably an okay hand to bet tiny. That's not even tiny, that's kind of big. Man of Straw says, Brock is a killer at the table. Yeah, Brock Wilson is an excellent player. He just designed the final table course in our advanced tournament course of poker coaching, and I learned a lot in it. A lot about post-flop ICM stuff, where you should be leading a ton when you're the big stack, where you should be raising a ton when you are the player in position, like right here with the King Jack. This is probably a spot where you want to be raising pre-flop and putting your opponent in nasty spots in general. You want to be super duper aggressive when you cover your opponent, and when you don't cover your opponent, you typically want to be super duper passive. And that applies to all betting rounds. And if you get a turn card that's normally an okay leading card, or if you get a river card that's normally an okay leading card because it gives you a range advantage and a nut advantage, those are times where usually you want to be pretty aggressive, and most people do not do that, and they leave a lot of money on the table. Think about it today. How many times have we seen turn leads or flop leads from the big stack? Almost none, right? Because a lot of people have not studied these spots adjusted for payout implications. People are asking about Michael Acevedo's Modern Poker Theory Tournament Workbook. I don't know anything about that. Email support. Oh, I'm sorry. Go to DNB Poker, that is the publishing company, and ask them. They'll be aware of whatever's happening with books. Always go to the publisher. I realize I'm heavily involved with the publisher, but I just help with the content.
For sure. Well, here we're going to see a couple of hearts getting tangled up, and we see a gut shots versus bottom pair. Both players, it's hard to make a pair, Jonathan. We know that. There's another.
Very hard to make a pair. What about two pair? And what about a straight draw, though?
This is action. It's for sure action. Jack 6, wishing it was Jack 7. Can see the connectivity, how much it matters, the differences. And he's going to lead right into top and bottom. Barack now got to feel pretty good about the hand, but does he want to raise? Just call. There are hands that beat him. He just calls, gets a very clean river card, no club, no change in the straight. situation. Then easy game. It's fun to take a stab, right? Semi bluff. We talked about that. Having equity is always fun. When you miss, it's not so fun. And then you got a million with jack high. Surely can't be good. You have some cards. 6-7 would be a straight. Jack 7, jack queen. You possess several of these, so he does go ahead and bet, and certainly is not going to work.
I'm not sure about this size. I think you probably want to go really big on the river most of the time, I would presume. But, I guess it's probably not so bad to go tiny. I don't know. If you're going to have a small bet size, you want to put some bluffs in them. You'd probably rather bet small with your random 7 highs, I guess. I don't even know. It's one of these rough spots where I bet no one bluffs the small size often enough as a bluff, because like in my mind, you're just getting called like 100% of the time here. Whenever you go small, because what are you really getting to fold, right? You're getting almost nothing to fold. All right, we get raised. Hands over probably. You think leads rarely get used because they're perceived as weak. You have to realize that perception doesn't really matter if you're playing good, strong GTO poker at the end of the day, because you're going to have plenty of nuts in your range. And if you think your opponents are going to think leads are weak and raise you every single time or whatever, then just start leading way more for value. And the thing is the times you want to lead in general are the times where the board is good for you. So you'll have proportionally more good hands than not in those scenarios. So if you think your opponents are going to you think they're going to drastically over raise or over call against leads, that's fine. They're going to be making big blunders left and right, especially at the final table where they're incentivized to not go broke as these shallower stack against you.
Yeah. Well, here, 4-5 suited. Gonna go ahead and kick it up. We're still four-handed. Thanks for joining with us. We will announce the winner. If to be eligible, please type in GG space John and then your space username on GGPoker. If you're not in a jurisdiction able to play, you could always give it to a friend or put their username or give it to them, gift them, split it with them, whatever. That's another option. But we do see 1,500 on watching right now. Appreciate you guys being here. I'm Jeff Gross, the host, with Jonathan Little, the man, the myth, the pokercoaching.com owner who knows a thing or two about poker. You guys can Google his results. He is definitely qualified and some. And again, I will just say next week, got a guest that is on the opposite side of things, but is going to give a lot of fun and context and color. And I like John's idea about raffling off or having a giveaway for someone to come on and be the commentator in the chat. It's a whole wishful idea. It's wishful. It's going to be talked about. We'll put it in the suggestion box. And we all appreciate it. We appreciate you guys being here, and good luck on the giveaway. And I know this is actually the biggest blowout. I think I've never 4-handed or 5-handed, whatever it was, not had a sweat in. So that was a good thing we weren't doing bonuses, right? For like we were like, oh, if you're not knowing in the final 3, or that would be a fun way to make it more interesting too. But the 3-1, you honestly, you got me. You got me on the 3-1 deal. That was good. That worked out very well.
To be fair, even if we did the regular thing, you still would have had 1 player left or no players left anyway. So you just picked poorly today.
That's true. That's listen, I'm not. I can take responsibility. I can take ownership of my picks today. That's fine. It didn't work out.
You can't be great all the time. You can't play well all the time. You just decided to pick the players who are not going to win any hands today.
They did have it started out good. It started out well. I thought there was honestly where it went all wrong was Brock with the ace-5 off the kings. That's where things went awry. That's when I knew I was in a lot of trouble. That was a big paradigm shift, and we needed that. So we're look, it's over for me. It's not over for the audience. They got a chance at $5,400. They got they're rooting hard for the left side of the table. Easy game, and future me could double up the fortune on someone that wins. We will find out here soon. Everyone playing pretty solid. It's actually relatively balanced on the stack sizes here. It's no one like clear runaway.
Jeff, when people go to play poker, live poker for the first time ever, what are a few tips you can give them?
Live tips. Let's see. So I would say definitely, bring what you're comfortable losing. Don't don't be looking to get markers out in ATM. Just kind of come in with a plan. And I would say that you want to find where a good game in town is. Maybe you have some friends that know where the best game is for the stakes that you're looking to play. So I would try to get some information. I think more information is better than no information, right? Don't just kind of willy-nilly go in and pop around. Maybe ask some people that have been there or know what's going on at the moment. Those would be sort of seem obvious, but most people probably don't do that. What about you?
I would recommend getting some experience. in whatever ways you can. So maybe you have some poker chips at home and you learn how to count the chips across the table. You learn how to put your chips into the pot before you actually go and play. You learn how to look at your hand without showing all of your opponents your hand, right? So I think all those things are going to be very beneficial. Also, when you go to play, say you're going to go to Vegas for 4 days, you know you want to play a few tournaments, make sure the first one is for really tiny stakes so that you get a little bit of experience before it actually matters. Someone came to me just the other day. They won a $10,000 buy-in seat to a live tournament that they got. Well, they won in a raffle or something. So they've never played anywhere near that big. And they're going to Vegas 2 or 3 days before. And I said, well, definitely play a $200 tournament or a $100 tournament somewhere around town to get used to playing live poker, because they don't really play live poker all that much. And I think just trying to get used to the environment, figure out what you're doing is going to be very beneficial. That said, get some practice. If you don't play a whole lot of tournaments to begin with, pull up GG or whatever site you play on and play some small tournaments. Realize you're playing not to try to win a bunch of money, but you're playing for experience. And I think that will be very beneficial. Zachary, the answer is yes. Let's see. You recommend daily walks? You recommend daily walks? Well, fortunately, you have to get up and walk to the tournament table, so that's good. Here we have a raise. We have a call. Ooh, good flop for Wooloo. Got the gut shot, the backdoor flush draw. This is what dreams were made of. Finally, Easy's going to have something go well for him, probably.
Yeah, I mean, that hand does look scary. It's got potential. It's got power. And for sure, candidate on that board, definitely one of the ones that is going to be looking to play around. I think you're right. Plays better than calling to check raise. So let's see if he goes like 600, 700. There it is, 761. And the nice news for Easy is doesn't have to think a lot about this. This is just going to be a pretty easy shove and going to pick up a nice bit of chips without having to avoid the equity run out. But nice pot, 3.7 million hanging tough. Things are tight four-handed, no clear winner at the moment. Easy game, you know, he's up stuck, right? He's just never really, I don't think he was up above peak ever.
No,
today.
Pure downswing today. Not an easy game for Easy game.
Yeah. But four-handed, you got to take it, right? You're four-handed, you're in third, still fine, right? It's not how you draw it up. You'd love to be first or second four-handed, but he's still right in the mix, and he made it that far, right? There's worse outcomes, so sitting okay.
One thing you'll see is if somebody has half the chips, they almost always take first, second, or third at least. Almost always. I mean, certainly there are going to be exceptions. I've been an exception one time, but they almost always take first, second, or third if you look at big chip leaders at final tables. Now, you know, you could just not win. You could be terrible, but you have to realize you're playing a $10,000 buy-in tournament. You're probably not terrible, right? Even if you're kind of bad, you're not going to be terrible. So yeah. This is a spot where usually the chip leaders are going to do pretty good. Good enough, at least. They're going to be live. How about that? Whereas the player in ninth place usually is not so live. It's hard to turn 10 big blinds into 300 or whatever it is you have to get to win. Here we might see a little bit of action. Ooh, big raise. I guess this is effectively an all-in. So look, the times you want to make these giant raises are when you can conceivably fold if there's a lot of action yet to happen. I think if Future's going to 3-bet in fold, he'd rather go smaller at least, but I suppose he was just ripping it all in effectively.
Yeah, maybe just in case the player behind went all in and then Easy game went all in after that. That would be the only difference, but good game. And Future and me, not going to be for Future and me, although look at the results. Very strong showing on Super Millions as well as GGPoker overall. Going to cross right around to the 4 million mark in total earnings alone on GG. Very impressive. Rocking, I believe, the Ireland flag there. And we are down to 3, and we've got some action here. Ace-10 suited and just absolutely smashing the board. There's a gut shot in there for Easy game, but not a lot. Going to go small. I think you got to go real small here, right? You just got a lot of board coverage. Not really scared of much. And Easy game now back. Actually, we were just saying not at his peak. I think he is roughly at his peak now. And he is a chip leader again, 3-handed. It's funny how that works. There's something to it. He just stuck in there. Got unlucky earlier against Future and me. Ace King, Ace Queen suited, and stuck in and rebounded. So he is feeling good. And Barack, who has also been in second for most of the day, is in second now. So it all kind of shook out to where
the tough thing about putting in half your chips as a 3-bet with an ace-x suit is if it does go shove, you probably are still supposed to call, or at least kind of close. I think you'd rather put in like 38% of your chips or 40% of your chips and just save that extra 10% when it does go shove. Because because I don't think it makes a difference to your opponent's calling range at all. So I think you'd rather just keep 40 instead of like 50 in that scenario. In that particular scenario.
Yeah, I'd be curious to go a little deeper into that topic with some people, because I have seen times where same thing, like you see guys make these committing sort of bets or whatever, but not all of it or a lot of it. And like, it does seem like maybe there's a difference, right? To leave it a little less, like why not save a few extra blinds in case that situation actually does go down, right?
Well, you don't want to make it to where the initial raiser is getting good enough odds to call with much of anything, right? So as long as you cut off those odds to the point that they can't call all that wide in position, then you don't really care how much you make it. Because if you're making it enough, then it doesn't make a difference. Like if they make it 2 and you make it 10, they're not going to call anything. But if half your stack is 14, you don't need to put in 14 because they're not going to call 10 anyway.
Right.
Now, maybe people think that they're going to be more inclined to bluff shove if you make it 10 as opposed to 14, which maybe is true, maybe is not. But typically when you put in a load of chips like that, most people realize you're not folding unless the other player goes all in too, right? So I think you'd probably rather just save a big blind or two there. It whenever the crazy part happens where it does go all in. So stacks are currently, what are the blinds here? Where are they listed? Are they not listed? Come on, GG, we need to know the blinds. We'll know very soon. I think they're 30, 60, is that right? Oh, no, so 3570, right? 3570 now?
No, it was 6120. So
oh, God.
It would be 7140 now, yeah.
7140. I'm living in the past, everybody. So there's no way in the world I can divide any number by 140. What? We have something like 45 big blind stacks, 40 big blind stacks. Okay, so we're playing 40 big blinds deep roughly across the board. Something like that. Am I anywhere close?
Yeah, that's right. 40 to 45, like, yeah, the 6 million stack. So 5.6 is 40. Right. So yeah, we're in that neighborhood of blinds. Critical time of the tournament, 3-handed, 223 locked up, 363 in the coveted trophy. I do not believe any of these players have won the Super Millions before. So that is exciting. New champion of Super Millions. Let me just verify that, but I'm pretty sure that's the case. Let's see. Easy game. Yeah, pretty much brand new. 8 times playing. Barack doesn't have it. And then our last guy, Wulu, is also a relatively new player, only 2 appearances, 1 cash. So we'll have a new winner.
It's fun to see new players coming into the game. I mean, I'm sure these players have played some high stakes, but it's good to see them breaking through and getting victories. I mean, first, second, or third, either one is all great for these players, and I'm glad to see it. It's tough whenever you have a game set up such that there's a gigantic skill edge where all the best players win every single time. And to be fair, I'm not saying these players are not good at poker, of course, but it's good to see new people in there.
Yeah, I got my boy Matt S in the chat. What's up, man? Good to see you. We are going to be in for a treat today. We're going to see a winner. We're going to have a giveaway, and we are going to see if Easy Game can bail out the chat with a $100 versus 50. Let's see. It's he's got the lead. Got the lead. He's got the nuts, the real nuts, the stone cold nuts, and 7-4 off on the river. I'm not really sure what happened. How did he get? He was betting? Was that what happened? He bluffed 7-4. How was there? I missed the.
I don't know.
I missed that one. I was in the chat. I was deep in the chat. I was finding I was just not informed on the turn. I don't know how that happened, but Easy Game's got the nuts. He's got 7 million. He is peaking officially, Jonathan.
Officially peaking. So look, whenever you go to play live poker, or if you're playing online poker, sometimes you're going to zone out and not pay attention to the action. And when that happens, do not berate yourself. Don't be mad at yourself. Sometimes you're going to miss some action. I missed it too. I was also down here in the chat. The thing is, the table's over here. The chat's over here. Other monitors over here. And inevitably, sometimes you miss stuff. Like in this hand, I don't know how the pot got to be a million chips. And that's okay. We have to refocus, resolve to focus a little bit better. I realize we've been streaming for 2 hours and change. For all of you, hope you're enjoying the show. If you are, click the like button down there. Click the subscribe button. And we'll get back to the action. How about that? We'll pay attention to poker again. I keep looking out there at your beautiful snow. I'm sitting in this hot little office and wishing I was in the snow right now.
Are you a skier? Do you do any skis? King High going to get it?
Not really, barely. I'm from Florida. They don't have a whole lot of skiing in Florida. So I learned to ski 2 years ago.
Me too.
And I've been about 4 times.
Yeah, I'm almost the exact same. Last year I learned, and it's fun. It's a little scary out there. It's a little intense. Like it's either like too slow or too intense. Like
It's one of the two.
I'll be like, oh, it's like this is not enough action. Then I'm like, all right, this is way too much action. You kind of like dip in, get dealt into a high stakes game out of nowhere, and you're like, well, you got to get down. So I've had a few times where I wasn't really sure what to do, but
that's the best when you get into high stakes action without realizing you're about to be in high stakes action. I can get down the blue ones, no problem at this point. But
green's the basic, and then blue. But
yeah, so I can get down greens, no problem. Like I don't get in high stakes action anymore there. But the blue ones, every once in a while you find yourself in high stakes action on the blue ones, especially if you dip into a black one every once in a while for fun, and then you're like, oh no, I messed up.
Yeah,
and then you just got to try to get down the hill.
You do have to find a way down. I'll tell you what, this is a bluff on the river. He's got a pretty good candidate for it. He's got a 4, and look at this, king 3, just nonchalantly flicks it in, says, hey man, I'm not buying what you're selling, blind on blind action. There's some violence going on, and it is very even, almost too close to call. 5.4, 6.3, 6.1. So very even, anyone's game. And we are appreciating you guys be here. We are going to play to a winner, and we are going to see each player here connect relatively strong with the board. Queen 10 top pair, queen kicker, ace 8. And this is a sneaky check back from queen 10. I'll tell you what, this could win him a massive pot, because ace 8 is going to feel very good about their hand. I mean, effectively has kind of feels like nutty, but wow, checks as well.
This is a great spot for the queen 10 to bet big on the turn.
Yeah.
Because there's a bunch of draws available. Anytime there's a bunch of draws available and your opponent probably doesn't have trips, you can just start loading money in. We see Wulu loading money in, right? Almost, 75% pot or something.
Big bet.
And nothing Barack can do here. You just got to call. I mean, it's an easy call. You're happy to call. You do not want to raise, because if you raise, you will get action from a 10, of course. This is a bad spot for Barack, because Wulu's going to have almost no 2s. So it's either a 10 or a 2 or nothing, and there's a whole lot of nothing available.
Yeah, it's also, he's got such a great candidate to call. He's got no jack, no 9, no 7, no club, no queen, like all the bluffs too, like just kind of work. I think, again, big bet 1.2, maybe not. He hasn't like gone over bet, and the situation also, it's just a critical to get called, but I think he's going to go like big 1 point.
I think he's going to go really big. Yeah, he does go really big. I love really big here, because an 8's always going to call, and a 2's always going to call. But the 8 folded. Wow.
Yeah.
I'm surprised the 8 folded there. I would have snap called that off, no problem.
You would think would at least think about it. But I'll tell you what, wow, aces and 7s, but the button 9, 10 opens. So is there a chance 7s just gets out of the way here? Oh, flat. Wow. Given, that's given Wulu a lot of respect, thinks he's wild. And look at this. I mean, this is this is dicey now. I mean, aces, like, you don't like this flop. You're looking for like the deuce king or like whatever, right? Something
not this.
Not this.
But enough, aces is pretty much in the worst shape here.
Man, aces has got the diamonds. Can't really realistically just fold for one bet, obviously, but that just realizes this board is troublesome.
Aces does do well to not put in a raise, I think. This is a spot where if you do raise and get re-raised or any of that, it's terrible. If you call, yeah, you're letting Wulu come in, but what can you really do? There are no great options. Ace, lowest equity now, LOL. Well, yes, if you think about it. 7s is the nuts for the made hand, so aces is dead against that. 10-9 is the nuts for the draw among these 3 hands, so aces is dead against that. It's a spot where aces is going to have almost no equity.
This is a super interesting card, as the aces welcome the diamond to slow maybe things down, although it could realize they lose to some flushes. They have the nut card, but wow. 9-10 makes the straight. 7s are now in second, and aces is in third. And wow, everyone, 9-10 though, the diamonds come home. I think you're just happy to win this pot 3-way, and how the action went. I don't think we're going to see a bet, but maybe.
I think the 10-9 probably should bet here. Although checking is definitely reasonable. The thing is, the pot's not actually all that big, but if you do betting it jammed, it's so bad. The aces may turn it into a bluff. I don't think Barack's going to turn it into a bluff, but obviously this is a spot where the ace of diamonds is very, 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 very relevant. And obviously Barack could have a lot of ace of diamonds, X of diamonds. I mean, that's a lot of good flatting hands. Look, as your opponents are going to check shove you as they bluff more often, you should be way less inclined to value bet then with, straight on the flush board. But if they're just going to call or fold most of the time, then betting is kind of free. Barack does do it. I love it. I mean, look, you want to bluff with the ace of diamonds, right? You have the ace of diamonds? Well, then you want to go for it.
Well, look, it's so easy with the whole cards, right? To just make these things. I personally, as the action was, I just feel like that pot at that moment to just pick it up, right? You're at 7.2. You have the chip lead. Who's calling you with worse? Maybe like two. I mean, I don't know.
That's the question, right? And I think the bet was way too big on the river for 1.3 million, right? Because what is going to call 1.3 million? I think a smaller bet's much more reasonable. And the pocket aces turn into a bluff does pick it up. 2 times today we've had the opportunity for aces to turn into a bluff where they had the nut flush blocker. And they did. Amazing.
The last time they didn't take it.
They did not take it last time, but they could have. Maybe Brock had it last time too. It was somebody in that corner.
Yeah,
I forget who had it.
Yeah.
Decided to do it this time though. I mean, you don't see ace turn into a bluff all that often, but I mean that was a reasonable spot to do it. Yeah, I agree. Whatever calling 1.2 million there. I think a smaller bet was definitely more reasonable. And like I said, at final tables, you have to be way less inclined to make those types of value bets. Just because it's such a disaster to have to fold out your equity, and bigger stacks may decide to load it in on you. Or sit and go is a good way to build a bankroll. Sure, especially at the small stakes. High stakes, they get a little bit tougher because everybody becomes very, very good. Obviously, make sure you're not paying a ton of rake. I know a lot of sites rake you a lot, but they have rake back. We've learned from some other sites to not necessarily rely on that type of thing because rake back structures get changed, right? So I would recommend you find a game where you have a decent edge in general, and then rely on your skill over your opponents to be substantially bigger than whatever the rake is so that you have a pretty good edge. But sit and goes are great for learning how to play final tables. I mean, I used to play a ton of sit and goes back in the day, and I think it gave me a lot of experience. Here, we have a big pot brewing.
Yeah, saucy limp
raise 3-bet.
Yeah, and
limp from Wooloo, raise from easy game, 3-bet from Wooloo, and now Wooloo might be stuck in this pot with a gut shot and a pair. No value on the turn. I think that's an easy shove on the turn for easy game. The board's very coordinated, and you almost always have the nuts, and you only have half pot, right? That's weird. Surprised there was no shove there. Because like right here, Wooloo had lots of equity, and you would have made him either side call it off, or you'd make him fold out whatever equity he has. He's going to have something, right? At least a gut shot, unless he's going nuts with like king 6 suited or something.
Yes, maybe a little gun shy with that 9-10. Got blasted off last time with the big hand.
That's for sure. It is always a bummer to bet the river with a straight and then get jammed when there's a flush available. Oh my gosh. What a disaster.
Yeah,
Brock literally just stole the tournament. So this is my tournament. Give me that.
Yeah, that was a interesting spot. Well, here he goes. He does go for some value. 2 mil, all of it. Brock likes showing cards, just random cards.
Brock loves showing the cards. That's so fun.
Yeah. He just shows one. All right, 3-5. Queen King gives respect to the chip leader, and now it is 8 million chips for Rock. And it is running hot. Confirm. My man is feeling good, though. He's got 6.3. He's still in the game. Kind of right where he started the day. I don't remember exactly, but in the 6.5 neighborhood of chips. Might have been 6.3 exactly. So, he got there the unconventional way, but he's here. 3-handed, right where he started. And you can see how powerful a stack that really was. He's in second with the stack that started the final table at. So
6.7 to start. So yeah, basically what he started with, a touchdown. And there's been a lot of ups and downs, but like I told you, the big stack at the start usually takes first, second, or third, at least. Well, at least. You can obviously first, you can't do any better than that, but you get what I'm saying. Third or better. And it's usually a pretty reasonable bet. And Easy Game's been in there battling. I mean, went for the thin value bets, made some big calls, made some big folds. I mean, he's been in there, which is what you love to see. All right, blinds have gone up now. The Wooloo has 20 big blinds, okay? 20 big blinds, 40 for Easy Game. Anytime the blinds go up, something I do mentally in my head is figure out how many chips everybody has. It's usually easy online because it'll tell you. But in live poker, you need to actually maybe get up and look around the table and figure out how many chips everybody has. so you don't make some sort of blunder. It's a disaster if you think somebody has 20 big blinds, but they have 50, right? So here, there's a limp and then a raise from the 10-6 offsuit. This is probably just a fold. Queen eight's normally a pretty good hand to see the flop with, but when you are the shorter of the two stacks involved, this is where you have to be really tight. Like I was talking about a minute ago, as the big stack in scenarios like this, easy game has to be really tight when they're playing against Barack, especially out of position. And Barack should be looking to raise over easy game's limps very, very wide. King four hearts is definitely going to raise it up.
Yep, king four, jack seven in the big blind, likely defending here. It is, they're still deep enough, does not. A little surprised by that, but I guess, you know, it's probably close. I would think that would be defend for the min raise though.
That's another spot where you have to be really tight defending against raises, like tighter than a lot of people think. You're allowed to take a notepad to a table. Yes, you are. You can take a notepad and a pencil. You can take your phone and type notes, or you can do whatever you want when you're not in hand. Interesting little one there. Easy game maybe was going for the limp re-raise.
Ooh. Whoa, ace six suited, kind of unfortunate. I mean, calling off, you got, this is the thing, a hand like king, queen, queen 10 suited.
I like the fold there. I mean, that's an unfortunate spot because a lot of big race X is shoving. Definitely annoying to raise and have to fold there, though. Should the 20 big blind stack be mostly open, shoving, all in? No. This is a spot where 20 big blind stack, when they're first to act, should definitely be doing a lot of raising minimum. If they're in the small blind, they should be doing more shoving in general, though. Like, so when you're on the button, you want to be doing a lot of min raising. When you're a small blind, you'll shove stuff like ace X and middle connected cards, suited connectors, offsuit connectors like queen, jack, queen 10 offsuit, jack 10 offsuit, stuff like that. Hands that are likely good, but very vulnerable to being outdrawn. Now here, Wooloo is probably going to get some action. Do we rip it in, or do we re-raise small? It's probably just a shove for 25 big blinds.
This is gonna get, I think this is,
He does go small.
These are strong hands. I mean, this is easy game. I don't, this would be quite a miraculous laydown. I don't see how I can lay this down three-handed. This is definitely sort of in the cooler sector of.
Well, the question is, do we call or do we rip it in? I think maybe you're supposed to call, but he does just rip it in. Wooloo's in good shape. Easy game, not so much.
Yep, he is going to need some help, but there is a potential chop somewhere. Not going to be ace king, going to hold up, and says good game. It's not good game. It is unlikely. He's in dire straits. So audience not even in a likely scenario to get the 100 today. Let's see.
So funny enough, after all of your picks failed, Jeff, all of my picks failed. So maybe neither of us are good. I'm just better than you, but certainly nothing to brag about.
Well, what do you mean? Don't you have? Who do you have? You still have?
No, for the audience. You asked me to pick for the audience, and I picked loser and loser or whatever. I don't know. We're all bad at picking whenever it matters. But yeah, I have everybody.
You know what? I'm gonna give the audience another backup plan. What do we got right now? Let me just give them a back. I'm really trying to give the 100. All right, if we get to 400 thumbs up, I'll make it 100. If we'll give you guys, who you choose, Wooloo or Barack. I'll choose this one. I'm gonna give him Wooloo. I feel like it's Wooloo's tournament. I want to. He's peaking. He's got like the Slate Chipley guys. If we get the thumbs up, we're gonna make that giveaway 100. And I'm gonna talk for if Wooloo. We're gonna give you guys Wooloo. Hopefully, it's not over. Easy game still could do it, but you know, it's looking dark. It's looking light.
Yeah. I mean, I love the way Wooloo's played. I mean, I love that overbet Wooloo made recently in that spot where there was the full house, where they had a full house, and I thought there was no way an 8 would fold, but then an 8 folded. But I thought it was a great spot for an overbet, and Wooloo's clearly been in there battling a little bit hard. Get a little chop it up here, ace 9 to ace 9.
Yep, chop it up. Not over yet. So guys, I'll give you a shot to get to 400. I mean, there's 1,600 watching. We just need 170 more. Seen it done before. I've seen rallies. I've seen the audience get powerful, get inspired, get behind each other. I might even just give them 100 today if they get to 400. Forget who wins. I like to make it a sweat, but we'll give them that. I'm just feeling generous. It's the holiday season. It's Thanksgiving coming up. $100 if we get to 400 by the time that it's heads up. I will pick a winner today. GG space John space your GGPoker username. That's what we're doing. We've tried to do it, John. We tried to make it like a legit polling audience, give them something to sweat, but we're really just not. We're not even getting to like. We're not getting great sweats out of the action today. Just kind of like clean blowouts. So. That's
well, they're lucky. They're lucky so far, and the ones that we pick immediately lose. So that then we're like, oh, I got to give them something else. So in theory, they've had almost everybody at the table by the end of the tournament. Just they've all lost.
True. That's very true. They've gotten fair shakes. They've gotten, and no one's really using a lot of clock today. You can see that the chess clock all over 9 minutes. We've had a couple times recently where the players have run out or been almost out. So this is relatively speed of play. Good. Ace King. No one with much to contest with here.
Somebody in the chat asked to be sponsored 50-50. I'll give all of you a little bit of a life hack. Don't rely on other people to give you money. Learn skills that you can use in life to take care of yourself. You don't want to be out there begging for a handout all the time. I realize some people get in tough spots, but I mean, I have a lot of friends in poker who are extremely successful, who have never need to be staked or need to get giant amounts of loans just to stay in action. That's not the way to go about do it to have long-term success. There's a lot of value in being able to take care of yourself and to sustain your activities. And if you're out of action, that means you are not extracting value if you're a good, profitable player.
Yeah, that's very true. That's a good way to look at it. Well, I can tell you what, I think we're going to get there. 1,600 on right now watching, and we're going to get to, I think we're just going to get to it. I'm confident. 276 already. Still some time left, guys. I'm going to be a $100 ticket giveaway if we can get to 450 guaranteed. Easy Game also is a backup. You got outs if Easy Game and Wulu. I think I threw Wulu in. I'm doing everything I can to make it 100. I'm
give him
really
Barack as well. What's the difference?
Yeah, right. We just give them all. No, we got to have a little sweat because we want backup. We want to get to 400. Thumbs up. That's the key one. That's the key term here. King 4, King 5, only 950 in the middle, but actually going to be a chop because that's 7 on the river. That could have been a big pot for Barack.
Very unfortunate for Barack there. Definitely a rough one. Had it almost locked up, but no good. Notice Wulu applying a lot of pressure to the 5 big blind stack.
8-9 off. Not fun to call off, but getting sort of desperate. How many blinds? Yeah, I mean, 9-8 is connected, but it's got to not really ahead of much. And maybe at some point you have to gamble. More fun to be first in. Still going to have 900 if he folds here. Go through the blinds. Don't see it calling off there as a good option. So we are in agreement, running cold a bit.
Easy Game has not been very fortunate in this final table. Sometimes that's how it goes. That's a spot where that 9-8 is probably a spot where you're going to call off very close if there are no payout implications.
Yeah.
And it's got to be close. I don't know what the math is, but it's got to be close.
Yeah, Jack 9 off first in here. There it is. And King 10, the taxi shot to Houston in the building. We're going to run it. King 10, Jack 9. We could be heads up here. I will announce a winner here shortly if it does get there. But Jack or 9, it is going to need runner club for a sweat. Dead draw. A lot of drawing deads today, man. Not the RNG spice we're used to online, right? All these ones that come and get the extra, 10 of clubs on the turn there. But nice game for Easy Game. Third place came as chip leader. Super Millions winnings no longer 0. 2.67 on GG. Well done. Nice play. Hope to see you again. Very, very nice. Nicely played today. Just couldn't quite get it going, and a couple unlucky hands as well. All right, so we are down to heads up, guys. And you can either gamble. You can either gamble for the 100. We're at 293. I don't know if we'll get to 400. I'm gonna let it roll for a little bit. I'll give you guys another couple minutes to get that to 400. Otherwise, it'll be at the end of the show. I'll announce if Wulu wins or Barack wins 50 or 100. And these guys played well. Nicely done for both of them. Really, really, really thought they played a good game, both the players. And Barack risked it all to go out in ninth, ace 5 to kings. Definitely a storyline of the final table.
Barack also made that savage all-in bluff on the river with the pocket aces. Don't forget that. That was one that felt pretty optimistic, but he went for it and stole a whole load of chips. Wulu's just been winning all the big pots recently. So here
1,700 on welcoming everyone. Appreciate it. Again, give Jonathan Little a big round of support, of applause, I guess I should say, come in on this holiday time, using his time today to spend with us. But let me ask you a question, Jonathan, in terms of review and watching, because you're busy, you got kids, you got courses, you're writing books, you're making moves, making babies, doing all of it. How do you find time to study, and do you count this as studying? Is this in your mind to watch a final table? Like, where does this come into? Is this more fun, more like, all right, just kind of see some interesting plays, or do you actually incorporate this? Would you count this as part of your studying and learning?
I do not really consider this study. I consider this more education. It's nice if I know the players at the table and I see them doing particular things. That can become very useful and beneficial, because that's more of like, we had Justin Bonomo here at the table. I played with Bonomo a decent amount. And if I saw him do something that was especially out of line, I'll put that one in the memory bank or write it down in a note file or something. But I think generally watching poker without crunching numbers to some extent does not really count as study in my mind. So I have a poker training site, pokercoaching.com, and I have a lot of coaches who make content, and I often direct them for the content I want them to make, because either I think it's going to be especially beneficial for me to study from, or especially beneficial from the students to learn from. Like, we have this advanced tournament course that just came out, and I knew I wanted to have a very big section on final table play. So I got Brock Wilson to make it, who's one of the best final table players in the world, to make the content. And I did that because that's the content I wanted. And I've gone through all of it. I've studied it a ton. We have a bunch of ICM charts on the site now for all sorts of final table scenarios that are just included in a premium membership. And that's something I wanted. Also, heads up with a big blind ante. I didn't know how to play that scenario. I was screwing it up a bunch, and I've seen a bunch of people screw it up a bunch. For example, you can't fold anything from the small blind when there's a big blind ante. And that's very different than when you're playing heads up online, like we are now, where there's a small ante. Each player's putting in whatever, 1.125 big blinds or something.
Yeah.
And it's hard to know how to adjust your limping strategies in spots like that. And so I had Jonathan Jaffe make it, who's one of the best heads up players in the world, and used to be like one of the biggest winners in online heads up games, and he still crushes heads up games. And so I had him make the heads up section. And essentially that's what I do. I hire people who I think are one of the best in the world at particular things, and have them teach me and the students how to learn from that. And they essentially take all of their knowledge, they consolidate it into the most useful action points, and then there you go. You get it fed to you, the most valuable, implementable information. Tough spot for the 10-5 in this scenario. Kind of a, I guess you just have to fold when all the draws arrive, right?
Yeah, you can't blame him calling the turn. He does pick up second pair on the turn, pretty draw heavy board, but the river was fortuitous to Wulu to improve to a made hand, not just a pair, and does take it down. So Brock got his work cut out, about a 3-1 chip deficit right now. Anything can happen, heads up, one double, they're even, but Wulu is on his way. And guys, I told you it's $100 if he wins, or 100 if we hit the 400 thumbs up. You can control your own destiny, or you can gamble. If it's going to be 100, I will announce the winner as soon as the tournament gets ended, or we hit 400. So we prefer if we hit 400, we could just announce a winner in the amount right now. But let's see what happens here. Wulu 5-9 got the gut shot, ace deuce, calls, still in the lead. Board pair 7-6-7, 2 spades. 9-5 got the gut shot working. Barack with the ace deuce, best hand, maybe a lead. Do you see the lead here? Did we ever see the lead? No, with the ace high, enough showdown, like it. 10 bit scary, completes certain things, but does have the best hand. We just see how hard it is illustrated to make a pair. Neither player, 5 cards out, have a pair here. Ace high is good.
Definitely a reasonable spot just to check. Maybe even find a crying call. The 10 of spades is kind of bad on the river because random pairs come in. I'm kind of surprised to see that is a 9 and a 5, right? Kind of surprised to see the 9-5 not bluff at some point, either on the turn or the river. But whatever. You cannot get away with bluffing every single time heads up, by the way. If you end up bluffing all of your garbage, you're going to be drastically over bluffing. And you have to find some of it to give up with, which is, it feels bad, but I'm going to presume Wulu knows what they're doing in this scenario.
Yeah.
10-3 opening it up. Some people may be surprised to see the 10-3 opening it up, but you can actually raise a pretty good amount of hands heads up from the small blind / button. A lot of the junkier hands don't really mind raising as well. So because if you raise the total junk and then they fold, you make them fold out a decent amount of equity, which is a very big success for you. Break time. To break time for us, probably not.
Don't think we're gonna get that luxury. We're already in the depths. Is it what time is it? What time started? This is 2:30, so 3 hours in. So we're hitting that kind of milestone mark. This has been a little longer last few shows, generally about 2:15, 2:30. This one we've seen go the distance. The shakeouts kind of jumbled up, right? The chip leader, John, they do their job. If they separate and they dominate, usually it goes a little quicker. They put the pressure on and it gets moving. But here we saw things consolidate, and here we are 3 hours in. Wooloo looking to close it out versus Barack for that big score, 363 versus 285. Decent pay jump. Decent pay jump is for sure available here. I mean, this is man, let me see. All right, we've got how many people? We got 330. So you guys might have to have what's his name? Our guy come in here, our guy Wooloo with 11 million to 6, but Brock closing the gap. He's got the 7, and he has got a bet here. Jack 5 is going to fold the low end of the straight jaw on the over.
Seems to me like so far Wooloo's playing a little bit cautious heads up, which is interesting to see. Given Wooloo's been kind of battling hard, I mean, to be fair, maybe Wooloo just thinks they have a bunch of give ups so far, but seems a little cautious. Certainly could have taken aggressive lines, right? But opted not to. We'll see how that plays out, though. Wow, look at this one. This might be a full double up for Barack on the river. We have a very small pot right now. Barack's probably going to bet. Goes for a check again. This is rough because if Barack bet, I bet Wooloo would have put in a raise. Big bet from Wooloo. Wooloo seems to err towards chunky bets on the river, which is often good. Very often you should be betting large with your very good hands and blockers to your opponent's calling range as a bluff. I think this is a pretty good spot just to rip all your money in. That may sound nuts, but when Wooloo bets big, he's saying he has a pretty good made hand, right? Or nothing. And if he has nothing, obviously he's going to fold. And if he has a pretty good made hand, like 2 pair, when all the draws miss, it's a pretty reasonable spot to call. So when your opponent polarizes their range to some extent by betting big on the river, those are the times you want to be jamming your nuts plus logical bluffs. And Wooloo makes a interesting tight fold there. I'm kind of surprised that hand did not find a call.
Yeah, really got lucky to see limps in here in the 8.
Wooloo raises it up, as he should. King 5 might decide to run a bluff. I mean, it's not a bad hand, I suppose, to re-raise, but I would probably not do it.
Yeah.
Just calls.
He is going to call here as we see the aces heads up. Not fair. The dead middling hand. I know you know this, John. I know you know Queen 7 off the computer hand. Those at home, I like to reference that. That is the dead middle hand in heads up poker. Don't tell me you don't know that. I just don't believe it. If you tell me that, you have to know that. It's got to be in one of your books.
I don't think I've ever written about it because it doesn't really matter that much. But yes, Queen 7 also is in the middle.
It matters a lot to those that are wondering.
Oh.
I think to me, it matters a lot because it's nice to know where you're starting heads up, right? It's good to have a barometer, and it is a relevant. That's like the dead middling hand. So we are. I see. Yeah, that like button. You guys are flirting with the 100 versus 50 right now. I'll tell you what. This is not a runaway Wooloo. This is not over. Barack is putting in a good battle here.
All I know is you're going to play about 90-something%, and Queen 7 is pretty good against the top 90%.
It's definitely very good there. 9-3 flush draw. Another pot to Brock, evening up the gap, 10.5 to 7.5. So anyone's game here. We're getting to the end. Heads up action, 363,000 to first, 285. Nothing to sneeze at for second, but no deal making available in the Super Millions. Interesting to note. So that is something the players play out for the title, for the win. We will have a new champion today.
I will say, if you're going to make the tournament structure kind of flat, like it is here, I don't really mind no deals. To be fair, I always think players will be able to do whatever they want with their money. And right here, in my brain, it is both of these players' money. But at the same time, it's not like it's winner take all or something, where they're gambling for tons of money. They're playing for 8 buy-ins, which is a lot. Don't get me wrong, but it's also not some gigantic amount. It'd be different if second was like 285 and first was 600. Did you all know a long time ago in poker tournaments, first place in a 300-person tournament would be a third of the money.
Yeah, it was double second, basically.
Double second, which was double third. It went double, 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 and then it's sort of trickled off. And back then, it was rough. It was rough. I was fortunate. I played 3 of those like that for a lot of money, and I won 2 and lost 1. So I can't be too sad about it. But you feel it whenever you're playing for 50 buy-ins or something, heads up, and that's a lot of money. Now the tournaments are substantially flatter for the most part, which is actually worse for the good players. It's better for the weaker players. Good players, in theory, want the tournament to be as top-heavy as possible. Weaker players want everybody to get paid, right? Because if you're not very good, you want to get paid out more often than not. And the way you do that is by having a very flat structure. If you're very good, you're going to take first place more than most people on average. So you'd rather it be very, very top-heavy. Yeah. Not that it really matters. People just show up and they play.
Yeah, they do. People love the game.
Doesn't really matter. I'm coming to play. It doesn't really matter the structure.
That's true. And here we see a 7 on the river, ace queen. Very strong hand, heads up, but is going to go ahead and bluff. And interesting, the 7 connects, misses the flush draw. Had a lot working for him with the king 7, does hit the pair. And now Wooloo decides to bet. Wooloo's been playing it close to the vest, folds 2 pair, been playing tight, but makes a big bet here. And it's going to work, right? I mean, how can you really call it the 7 on that board? Not sure, though. He wasn't sure, and he was right to be curious. He did have the best hand. Can't call.
Wooloo has been pretty cautious when the opponents have wanted to put in a ton of money. When the opponents have not wanted to put in a ton of money, they've been pretty aggressive. And I think that's probably just a good strategy in general, because most people underbluff for the most part. And if they underbluff by just a little bit, your bluff catchers very often become close to folds.
Agreed. Well, we see a battle here. King 7, 7-10. So a nice value bet here with the king 7-10. The 10 going to be curious potentially.
Yeah, definitely a good spot to value bet river. And I think big is fine given it's kind of unlikely anybody has an ace. You have to realize heads up, hand values change a lot compared to when you're playing 3-handed or 4-handed or whatnot, just because in this scenario, if no one has an ace most of the time, well, a king is very, very good. And normally if you're going to bet a king there on the river in let's say a regular spot where you raise and somebody call from the big blind, maybe go half pot on the river for thin value. But now we can just put it in our big bet size because it's very, very strong. Interesting float. Pretty loose float there with the 9-5 suited. I suppose 9-5 is going to feel inclined to bluff. So here you want to bluff with stuff that cannot win at the showdown, right? But you also want to have some check raises as well. And your check raises want to have some showdown value, I think. And this one probably doesn't have much showdown value, so I think bluffing's pretty reasonable. This 10-7 may just look it up, but it does not. Because right there on the river, when Wooloo bets big, they're going to be very polarized for the most part to good made hands and nothing, and there's a lot of nothing available.
Yep, 9-10, 7-8. Brock in a bit of trouble now, and this could be, there are some big cards here. 9-10, 7-8. Checks back, got the gut shot, 2 overs to the 8, but the king out there now, the ace. Brock with a modest pair. Checks. See if Wooloo wants to do the same or wants to start telling a story.
I like a story. I think you can easily get an 8 to fold by the river if you bet turn and bet river. Probably not a king. So in scenarios like this, you always want to ask, like, what am I actually trying to get to fold with? Not just my initial bet now, but also my bet on the river, right? Because like right here, no pair is going to fold. But on the river, I think you can very reasonably get an 8 or a 6 to fold. You probably won't get a king to fold. To be fair, these players have been playing pretty cautious so far, so maybe you can. But this is a spot where you got to think Wooloo would check back a lot of ace highs on the flop, bet them on the turn, and then blast them on the river, just like they did. I mean, I think Wooloo's playing great here. Something else that's kind of neat to do when you're playing heads up is if you think you are the better player, you should probably try to keep the pace of the game very fast. Because your opponents will, to some extent, try to match your speed. And if you play fast and well, and your opponents play normally slower, it may induce them to make some sporadic errors, which is always good for you.
For sure. We'll get.
I mean, notice Wooloo's playing at like lightning speed here. If I don't know if anybody's paying attention, but Wooloo's just like snapping that money into the pot, which I think is sharp.
Yep. Well, 9-5 does hit the river, and likely going to just want to show this down. I mean, it's pretty down there on the pair rankings.
Yeah, you may be able to get a small bet in, like half pot. Rock goes big. Does get called. All right. All right. All right. Is that a merge bet? Is that what the kids call that?
It's a hybrid.
That
Hybrid merge. King 3.
was
Jack
a,
10.
yeah.
These
That
are
was a lovely bet there. All right. 20 from 2 big blinds deep. All right. All right. 22 big blinds deep. Here we go.
Top pair.
This is where champions are made.
Ooh, he's just going to come out betting into top pair. Has backdoor spades and queen of spades. We haven't seen a lot of action turns. Like, where's the 9 or queen of spades? Nope, just not there. It's going to be king has a lock. Don't really see a way they're going to get removed from this pot. And let's see if Wulu just waves the white flag here. Doesn't turn any equity, but we do see.
So heads up leads are a little bit different than they are in regular not heads up scenarios, because the ranges are very, very different for the big blind compared to when you're playing at a full ring table. And the buttons range is very different. Like right here, the button's going to have a lot of 5s, right? They're not checking back all 5s. So you don't want to lead in the spot as often heads up, I don't think, because both players have a lot of 5s. Wulu's about to lose a bunch of chips here. Wulu's going to go, what? How does Wulu not bet?
He called the turn because he just.
How does Wulu not bet the river?
He had 7-8, 7-4. He was putting them on, calling with Jack high. I think he had the best hand, but yeah, as it stands, guys, 400. You're almost there to lock up 100. I'll announce the winner once we get to 400, or you got to sweat it out. If Wulu can take it down, Ace King 6 deuce, almost a 2-1 lead. Barack not going to defend many hands, but not this one.
Barack is getting tricky and trappy. That's the spot where I thought Wulu was going to lose a bunch of chips to try to get like a river 9 to fold or a river whatever, or a lower pair to fold. But Wulu did not lose a bunch of chips. Wulu is playing some lights out poker here. Raise over limp with 10s, which is obviously good. Jack 10 decides to get spicy now. They're making some spicy actions heads up now.
Yeah, 10's Jack 10, and he is gonna.
It's a cool spot where you don't think a whole lot of queens are gonna float you on the flop, right? So if queen X is not gonna float you on the flop, then the queen doesn't really change a whole lot. Because right there, I think you think a lot of overcards that don't have a heart are just going to fold immediately. That said, the Jack 10 calls, so clearly I'm wrong about that. But you can get away with value betting stuff like that in that scenario when you think your opponent's going to fold out a lot of those various overcards to the one flop bet.
Yeah, very nice done. Well, 12 million to 5 million. We see the limps coming in, ace 4 suited. Queen 9 going to jump into the lead.
Pretty rough flop for the ace 4, but you can still put in a tiny bet. If they fold, that's great. If they call, well, you probably lose. And some people will call with a bunch of random undercards and whatnot. Rock does lose. Doesn't lose much more though, so that's good. 20 big blind poker heads up. Something I see happen over and over again heads up is that when you do get heads up after playing a long tournament, these players played all day Sunday and then a few hours today. A lot of people just end up playing a little bit too cautiously heads up for a lot of money, because in their brains, they don't want to just sit here and run some insane bluff right off the bat heads up, even if they know it's a good play. Because right now there are no pound implications. These players are playing heads up for $78,000. That's it. We're playing a $78,000 prize pool heads up game. And you should bluff very often when you're playing 20 big blinds deep heads up. That's just part of the game. And most people end up playing a little bit too cautiously, which is perhaps why Wulu made that big fold with 2 pair right off the bat, knowing that's often what happens. And it turns out Barack actually did have the straight. Here's a very cautious pot. Queen 8 is really, really good here. 3 is a pretty bad river because a lot of Wooloo's checkbacks are going to be 3s. So Wooloo, I'm sorry, Brock has been getting a little bit tricky.
Yeah.
Aces. Do we see a limp or a raise? We do see a raise. Nothing for the 10-6. It always feels like maybe you should check it back with the aces on these very, very uncoordinated boards, but at the same time, you want to be betting pretty frequently on those boards, and you certainly don't mind getting your money in. But when you're posting over the 10 high, nothing. You obviously would much rather them stay in the pot.
Yep. Queen 8. They're a little better in the computer hand.
Remember watching old poker shows and like whenever both players had the same hand, they say, oh, the best player is going to win. Because they have the same hand.
Wow, 6-7 suited.
There you go. I like that shove a lot. A lot of people don't make that shove there, but I think the marginal suited connected hands are pretty good to shove because when you do get called, you're usually very, very live. Same thing with small pairs. Good shove.
Queen 9, 5-3, top pair, 5-3, not much happening, goes for a small bet. Turns a little bit of equity.
This is a spot where maybe Wooloo goes for a bet with bottom pair, no kicker. These are sometimes okay hands to keep betting. Kind of like a draw when you do get called. And if your opponent folds out anything, that's great. Wooloo does go for the bet. I like this. This is something I've been studying a lot whenever I'm looking at the GTO solver. It turns out bottom pair junk kicker often goes for a bet, especially when it's super vulnerable.
Wow. Boys,
and then this happens sometimes, and then you win all the money. I mean, I love an overbet on the river. Opponent has 1.3x pot. I see no good option besides shove, especially when all the draws miss. What a river. Now, look, Brock's made a few big folds already. I don't think you can fold here. All the gut shots missed. All the open-endeds missed. The backdoor flush draw missed. Only the random 5 that some people don't even bet comes in. Brutal. Maybe even chop with some queens that may shove, right?
Wow, this is sick.
Non all in. Okay.
Gonna leave
non all in.
Leave him here. He's gonna leave him here. He's gonna leave him in 358. I'm feeling generous. You guys are gonna get it anyway. They're gonna get the 400. They're gonna get the $100. I am gonna choose a winner here, and I already actually have it. I'm just gonna give the 100, man. It's not over yet, but it's close to it. And my man is, let me pronounce the name right.
Is it Jonathan Little?
You are not eligible on that. It's going to be Audrey Sharp. Congrats, you won. It's going to be $100. All in, Jack 4, Queen Deuce. It is Aubrey Sharp with the $100. Queen Deuce, Jack 4, and Jack are a 4, or else we might see some more here. He's got the lead. Queen high going to the river. 2.1 in there. It is not meant to be. It's not over. But Aubrey, you have won the giveaway. So $100 to you, and we'll see this one out. So congrats to Aubrey.
One thing I've learned is that whenever I come and commentate games, they usually last forever. So here we are. We're going to be here for another hour or two, at least. One time I was asked to commentate a game, and they told me, yeah, it's going to be maybe 4 or 5 hours. The thing went 16 hours. And it was just me for 16 hours commentating live poker. That was a rough one. Look at this. Lots of action on the turn. Short stacks. This is a spot where Brock has to be careful to not bet and get jammed. It's so bad if you bet and get jammed. And Wooloo has had all the good cards. To be fair, Wooloo did make that massive fold with the 8-3 earlier with 2 pair. You know, if Wulu would have called off right there, Wulu probably would have lost this tournament. But instead, Wulu made that big fold. And now is probably going to win the tournament because Brock has an 8 high. You know, 8 high doesn't mind bluffing. Obviously not the greatest hand to bluff because of blockers and whatnot, but a lot of people go for it with the 8 high, but not this time. Harvey says you're a huge fan of Jonathan Little. Well, thank you. Glad to help. Thank you all for being here today. Make sure you click the like and subscribe button. Open a new tab and go to my YouTube, youtube.com/pokercoaching, and click the like button. We would appreciate it. Like button, subscribe button. Well, click all the buttons. The buttons are good. All right. Brock back down to the shallow stack again. 6 big blinds behind. Wulu 5-2 offsuit, so unlucky.
Yeah,
this was a big game this week, huh? Was this like some special guarantee or something? This was a big one.
It's been higher lately at 350. Yeah, very healthy prize pool, 363.
I can't do math. This is like 1.5 million or something. That's good money.
Yeah, it's
cool. Good to see players battling it out week after week.
Oh, Queen's the Queen 3, the limp. This could be the business right here. He limps, doesn't take the bait, but it's very nice trap set from Wulu, recognizing limping some of the weaker and the stronger hands, right? Going to get shoved by Brock there, or just let him hit the board. So nicely done. Good execution. Didn't work out there, but I like what the thought was there.
You should definitely have a pretty wide limping range, 10 big blinds deep even, heads up, but a lot of people do not. They shove or fold everything, and that's definitely a mistake. But you should be limping with a lot of your best hands, a lot of your trash. 9-8 might rip it in, and the Queen 6 is probably going to find a call.
Wow,
it does.
Queen 6, 8-9. Can Queen 6 hold for the win? Are we going to play some more? It is good to the flop, 77.93%. Turn, still good, very good. Just one time, he needs it or else not to be. And there is a champion. Wulu gets it done. Aubrey Sharp gets a $100 ticket for that. We already awarded that. 363 up top. Wow. 10K buy-in, 363 going. Jonathan Little, this was a long one, 3+ hours. And the setup, we had some issues, some delays. Any takeaways? Any thoughts on the overall final table? Were you impressed? Were you surprised?
I was very impressed by Wulu's play throughout the final table. Excellent heads-up play. Lots of big folds, lots of big calls. Really played it amazingly well and took home the title. So congrats to Wulu and congrats to all the players at the final table. There were some new names here this time and good to see them doing well.
Yes. Well, listen, John, really do appreciate it. Guys, Jonathan Little, please follow him on the socials, pokercoaching.com. He has a lot of content, a lot of books. He's written most of those you see behind there. He's got some trophies. He's got some plaques. He's got stuff, and I can tell you he knows his stuff. He knows poker. We appreciate you joining today. We appreciate everyone at home watching. Congrats to the winner, and we will see you next week. But as I said, a very special guest, a name you may not recognize. You're going to want to tune in. I guarantee it. We'll see you next week, Jonathan. Again, thanks so much.
Thank you.